looks like a scary disaster waiting to happen. I hope it doesn't. I don't want to. I'm knock on wood.
I mean, you can't hear them, but he says it looks awesome, but it also looks like a scary disaster waiting to happen.
And I knocked on wood.
Okay, and he knocked on wood. Oh, I need to tell you a story really quick while I'm on the thought, and then you can continue what you were saying.
Yeah, I do have to go AFK for like 5 minutes, but go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, my dad was visiting us a couple months ago, and he was telling a story to Thomas, and Thomas was just kept saying, okay, and then what happened? Because my dad was just, telling a story that just, then they did this, and then they did this, and then they did this, and it was all about dinosaurs. And then Thomas was like, okay, well, then what happened? And then I was like, Dad, if you need to end the story, you have to have some sort of falling action. He's like, oh, okay. Then a meteor fell and killed all the dinosaurs. The end. And I was like, well, that wasn't the sort of falling action I was intending. And then Thomas just starts crying.
He hasn't stopped. Legend has it, he's still crying to this day.
That's true. That's true. All right, Prince, what were you saying about metagaming and not doing something for the sake of people having fun at the table?
Oh, no. There was just, there's like, we're getting to the point where, like, some of the motivations of the characters, plus
if it's related
where
to
the situation,
leave us in the dark. Talk to me about it afterwards if you're concerned.
Okay.
Stories of other campaigns are fine, but no spoilers.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'll be right back. I'm gonna AFK for a sec.
Oh man.
I definitely have a few things to say about that, but
about metagaming.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna keep him any longer since he has to go for a second.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a couple other people are running a little behind, and. Yeah. Sorry, one sec. Erica's going to be on just verbally for a bit tonight. If need be, I can roll for her and she can come over and check the combat stuff if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens tonight. Let's see who are we missing. Oof. I kind of derailed that conversation when Prince jumped in, and then there's Jake and Erica.
Oh! That was a spooky sound.
They just don't want us to...
Sorry, I had a very ambitious sweet and sour chicken project going on. I didn't think it'd take this long.
We are having some technical difficulties. Our apologies.
All good.
Apology accepted. No need to apologize.
There's always a need to apologize.
You got that right.
When you have a mouth like mine.
So what spice level did you get, Erica, at Cut Bob?
I don't remember.
Oh no.
Sorry, that was like 3 years ago. 4 years ago.
You remember what happened 4 years ago?
Nope. At least not what. Well, I think I got spicy mayo is what I like to get on my cup pop.
Yeah, you were getting eights at Cup Pop.
I don't remember.
What a Chad. 8 is what I started with. Then I went to 9, then I went to 10. Not much of a difference between them, honestly.
There's really another good food truck in Utah County area, and it's called Fatty Tuna, and it's delicious.
Is it like Japanese?
Yes, it has like sushi.
Like sashimi?
Okay. Over here. Okay.
What is happening?
Oh, Taggart's making me use headphones. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I moved downstairs so that Erica can actually participate in roleplay, and so then she comes down after me with her phone on speaker. Now she's prepping stuff for Thomas's birthday party tomorrow. His belated birthday party of like 6 months after.
Better late than never.
That's true. I mean, in our defense, we were moving on his birthday, so.
Well, he gets to have a half birthday.
Yes, exactly.
Birthday.
Okay. So I believe Enrique will not be joining us tonight. Regrettably, he had said before he was not likely going to be around today.
Dang it.
I do not approve.
Yeah, this will be the equivalent of when someone asks off time from work and their boss is just like, nope. Enrique has asked time off from D&D and the group said no. Okay. Alright, we ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fine, ready.
Well, I don't
Ginger?
think Kyle's back.
Oh, is he not?
Yeah, let's wait a sec.
Yeah. Hey, Ginger. That's my dog, in case you wanted to see.
Alright, I'm back.
Aw, Ginger.
Can you say hi, Ginger?
He looked confused.
She should.
He's
Yeah,
cute.
Kelsey, come on. Just kidding. She's fine out here. Let me just put her up on her chair.
I've been swimming with Ginger before, actually. And all she does is just watch for birds.
Aww. She's a good dog.
She is.
Wasn't she a duck hunting dog?
Maybe.
That's what Taggart said.
Wait, say again?
Ginger was a duck hunting dog.
Yes, she is an Italian Brocco. Good for pointing and retrieving. My dad would always take her duck hunting and pheasant hunting.
They have good eyes.
Yes, they do. They have a nice hound look as well. The droopy face and eyes and everything. Alrighty. Is everyone here?
Yeah.
Is everyone here? Everyone except for the
Yeah.
trader.
Everyone except for Enrique. Prince, you're here?
Guy's out of here.
Did he
Alright,
respond?
sorry, it's AFK.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
I think I heard my name.
Yes. Just
Oh,
wanted
and-
confirmation. Go ahead.
By the way, Kyle, I don't even remember what did I even say about you metagame because I couldn't.
I didn't know if you were talking to me. You were talking to someone about meta. I don't remember exactly who you were talking to. I just remember
I
listening
think
something
you
about
said
it.
something about you were going to metagame to make your character suboptimal on purpose, just to throw people off.
No, that was the week before.
No, that's what Parley was saying.
That's Enrique. My gosh. It's actually like not even a joke. Like legitimately. Like I don't even understand the logic behind that. But anyways, if I did get after you with that, I was probably just messing with you because I don't at all remember what I was even saying, so I don't think I was serious. And as far as like metagaming goes to keep the party together, I don't know. Like it really, to me, it's a case by case basis.
Yep.
I'm not gonna like blow up over like small things and that, but I remember in one campaign, and Taggart was here for a little bit of that campaign, but there was a guy, and like it was a really important like story decision, like the direction that we were going to take this, and there was a guy named Aaron. He was playing a monk, and I was playing a gunslinger, and like we had a pretty heated disagreement and argument, and I was like, okay, like this is extremely plot important, you know, to what happened to the fate of this world, and I'm going to stand by that. I'm not just going to agree with him because I don't want to like get into a fight with him. I told him, I was like, if you try to take this from me, then I am going to try to kill you. Like I will protect myself. I am not going to let you have this because I know that your decision is way worse. And he wouldn't let up, and I'm not going to let up either, you know. And like Cameron, our DM, was like, "Is there any way we can resolve this?" And I was just like, I mean, and you know, we both explained our points, and like I think that like that can make sense. So we ended up fighting. One person, really annoyingly though, metagamed to keep the party together. But like for that, I think that makes sense for a story and plot element. Whereas like for smaller things, like of course, yeah, like I don't want to split up the party or like leave because like, oh, he did that. Dang it, let's screw that. I'm gonna have all this resentment and make things hell for everybody else. But like, you really got to play it by ear. But where that, like, obviously, I don't want to split up, but I'm not going to let somebody who I so obviously thought was incorrect, you know, alter the course of this world just because, like, oh yeah, you know, we just got to keep the party together. I think that's incredibly lame, and not being true to your character, like, one of the worst feelings you can have. At least for me, like, making a decision that I know that my character would like so like vehemently go against, like it's just a super annoying and awful feeling to have, and like it really kills like my own immersion like for my character when I metagame that hard. But like yeah, like for small things I think it's okay, and like you know you got to play it by ear. But like me, at least as a DM, I am fine with two characters, like if two players want to duke it out because they have very differing philosophies on like the fate of the world, then yeah, you know, like I'm not going to force them to talk it out. If they want to fight and one of them's going to die, that's fine with me. You know, in essence, like you're just playing the story as much as it should be played. You know,
For
and I think that that's great. The story, I think, at most, like, is what is the most important, as well as everyone's fun, of course. Like you don't want to do that if you know it's not going to be fun or it's going to, you know, cause like bad blood in like real life and that. But I mean, you go what I'm saying though. Like it's important to balance the two. It's good to have to make sure that you have a story, but like at the end of the day, you know, you want to make sure everyone has fun. And then lastly, what I would just want to say on that is like I try to make sure that I write characters. Like when I make a character that like they're not going to end up with those kind of confrontations or anything like that. Or like they'll be like more amenable type of people, you know. Like it's not good to make somebody who is like apathetic or just like antagonistic, because at that point your character isn't really adding to the flavor of the story. Like you're just an annoyance. You're a nuisance to the party, and then that causes issue with the party wanting to split up. And like we had like, you know, with Hunter and that, just a nuisance, you know. Like you're not adding to this at all. You're just here to like screw with things when we're all just trying to have like a good time. You know, go along with our story, and you're just like, oh, I stabbed the guy all of a sudden. You know, just like very stupid, annoying, chaotic, neutral, cringe, murder hobo behavior. Like that is just, it has no place, you know.
Yeah, that was
so yeah,
Chaotic, neutral.
That situation with Hunter was kind of what put me over the line of defining at what point am I willing to have inter-party conflict. Because one thing I've seen a lot, and I guess part of this was, you know, growing up, that we'd have half the party wanted to do one quest and half the party wanted to do the other, and so then we'd split, and it was just like, okay, now we don't get to play together, but it's nothing that's impactful. But situations like what you brought up with Hunter and also with the Monk disagreement, those are definitely situations where I've made the resolution, at least for me as a player and as a DM, it's like, if it gets to that point, kind of like you said, it's like, let it go, like, or let it happen. It's, yeah. Because there's times that sort of conflict is actually even more beneficial to the party and to the players than not having it.
Yeah, my rule on chaotic people is there's a difference between being chaotic and being stupid. Chaotic stupid is not an alignment.
Or just being a jerk. Like, there's people who play a character like that just because they want to not be fun at the table for other people. They're there to play their own game, and they don't, everyone else be damned. And it's like,
right. If you're gonna act like a troglodyte in real life, then yeah, exactly. Like, just play Fallout and just shoot everybody you see, And like my last point on that too is that, like, if it was like Hunter, where like he's just there to cause trouble, like, I am not gonna hesitate to like kill you or anything like that. If I think that you're, even think for one
legal
second.
reasons, clarifying, kill you in game.
Maybe out of game, I'll play that by ear. But yeah, I just think that, like, doing that, I think, just breaks the immersion for everybody. If it's like, we're just keeping your idiotic, chaotic, stupid character around just because, like, hey, you're our friend in real life, we don't want to, like, make it awkward and, like, kick you out. But it's like, I don't care about that. If you're going to be here to ruin the experience for everybody, I'm going to get rid of you. Especially if I'm a DM, I'm just going to, like, if you keep doing this, you're out.
Yeah,
I'm not going to force the party to eventually have enough of you. I'm going to kick you out if you're going to ruin everybody's fun.
Yeah, I once played a character that was a raging berserker that would fly into a rage whenever he took damage, which was great in combat, but it was terrible if, like, we were out of combat and something made me take, like, a point of damage.
Emotional damage.
Yes. And then...
Little girl trips into you by accident, you just kick her into the sun.
Oh, I know. I slapped somebody for 50 points of damage and killed them. I did not mean... Like, okay, they were trying to open up a lock, and my character got impatient and just smashed the lock, and then she hit me, I flew into a rage, slapped her, and killed her. And I had like 42 strength. I don't know what she thought was going to happen.
Please don't tell me this was your wife in game.
I was on 3.5, and I flew into a berserker rage, which upped my strength by like 12.
Only
and
3.5.
Yes, and 3.5 is ridiculous what happens.
Okay.
But it was hilarious. Alright, I'm ready.
Do we have anything else we wanted to discuss? I love these conversations, by the way. And I think they're a great way to kind of get set up for game. So I don't have an issue with them. But I also want to...
Where's Gabriel at?
Already. He will not be joining us tonight. He said last week when we had to cancel, he said he may not be able to play this next week. And he will be sorely missed.
It looks like Nomad is going to have to pull all the weight for combat expertise. Because you've got a one-legged hobo. Actually, I haven't seen...
Okay, Mr. Holding Back Arrows wasn't doing us that many favors overall. Gabriel's only an average archer, okay? So, like, we're not missing that much. He's a decent archer. He's okay. He's average. Not great, though, but he's decent.
Honestly, I thought the whole point was to avoid combat. I thought that we were trying to pull off an anime pillow heist or something.
I will say...
No, we're with you. Regicide, dude.
I don't think that vampire was actually trying to fight us at the time, but...
But yeah, lastly, when it comes to metagaming, like, obviously, like Taggart said, fun is paramount, but, like, if things get serious enough, like, I think that you shouldn't metagame just to keep the party together or agree with another party member, like, if things are serious enough. Like, minor disputes and that, like, I'm willing to let go, even for, like, some of my more fanatical characters, even, like, Leon, But,
Leon was fanatical?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yes,
if
he was.
Gabriel was here, he could tell you, and Kayla can probably tell you. Well, he wasn't that fanatical. He was just strongly
but
opinionated.
He was strongly opinionated, and he was going to do it, but he was willing to compromise even there. Like, he had a line, but he let his party members know, as long as you don't cross this line, like, I'm with you. And I'm with you up until that point, so just, like, our compromise is, don't cross this line. Like, even though I vastly disagree with you on this, and that.
As occasionally chaotic as Leon was, even Kara, my paladin character, had to confess at one point that in another life, Leon would have made a wonderful paladin, probably, because he was kind of crazy at times, but he had some pretty good points and pretty good standards and a decent sense of justice.
All paladins are crazy. What are you talking about? That is like a staple for paladins. It's like, oh, there's an evil thing? Alright, well, I'm smiting that. I don't care what's going to happen.
Oh man,
Tell
you
them
should
to robots. Evil thing, execute smite.exe.
Oh man,
that's one of the reasons I have trouble with paladins, is because most of my characters tend to be sort of morally neutral, and paladins are not morally... They have to not be, because usually if they're morally neutral, their god will frown upon them and they'll lose their powers.
Well, you should have seen me playing... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You should have seen me playing a lawful good character in a campaign full of intrigue and where deception was absolutely necessary. It was quite the adventure, let me tell you.
You guys should try an evil campaign sometimes. They're actually kind of fun.
That's what we're doing right now. Pietro's the good guy. Haven't you figured that already?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are the...
Think of all the undead we've killed. They just want to make a new society, you know? They're just trying to rebuild Zelkir, and we're just, like, tearing it down.
They just want a homeland, and we are getting in their way.
Those bigoted living people, you know, just can't stand the undead.
They can't
Racist.
stand the mortally challenged.
Yeah, they don't like the longer lifespan, so they
You
want to end
guys
it
spoke
early.
about this, but just you wait.
Okay, Prince needs to die. I'm not metagame. Everyone kill Prince when game starts.
Prince, the most capable in combat in this entire group.
Yeah. I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay.
I'm
So,
excited, mostly.
recap for last time. As you were making your way towards the capital, you found a ring of rain around the city that was of... I would say, did you guys ever decide or determine what it was there for?
No, but we did know it was supernatural.
Yes. Well, supernatural
Obviously.
in some ways. At least supernaturally generated, but the rain itself was non-magical. The weather pattern was supernaturally manipulated.
No, but we did not figure out what
Yeah.
the point was.
So, as you...
I still don't know.
Yeah, you said out of game you still don't know?
Yeah. But go ahead.
Maybe there was no point, huh? But, anyway, as you made your way into the city through the sewer, you got to a grate leading up into the city, but before you got through, you were accosted by a woman who greeted you and told you that you had been summoned by the king, Pietro. After which point you were able to remove from her the compulsion that she was under, at which point she broke down, and as a group you were able to make your way through the grate and decide, as you kind of got into the rest of the city and saw that it was almost functioning as normal, though with undead around, you were determining that you were going to attempt to do two things at once. Some of you would answer the call of Pietro and go meet with him, while the rest of you used the others as a distraction to go and find and free Malith. So we will pick up from there as you find yourselves in one of the centers of the city. Gosh, and I know I have the name of the city down somewhere. It's Melkar, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you find yourselves in the capital city, Melkar, you are determining what course of action you will take. and with whom? The floor is yours.
Okay.
Well, it seems that we're at somewhat of an impasse. We've been going on for quite some time. In fact, I'm shocked we haven't drawn the attention of some entity, although perhaps we have, as previously mentioned.
Oh, I definitely think we've drawn Pietro's attention. I mean, we've been
Pietro is the
invited.
entity.
I mean, we clearly have his attention. I mean, whether the contents of our conversation are currently being listened to.
Possibly.
Maybe we
I
should
think
find a
that's
more private place to talk.
I know a locale to the east, last standing city of Zelkir.
Wait, out of character, aren't we in the middle of the city?
Sort of.
You're somewhere in the city. You can go to wherever you need to, but at the moment you're near the city, you at least know where the palace is. You can see it from most anywhere in the city.
Okay, well, we might need to find a more private place to talk. I do think that we have to respond to, Pietro's summons, or else he's probably going to take a more direct act against us. So
I mean, he has all the time in the world.
that's true. That is very true. He does not seem to be particularly.
I'll be back in a moment, by the way, so I might need you to update me in a minute on what you talked about.
Perspective is different when you have all eternity to mull over things.
Yeah, eternity can be nice, though. I mean, there are some benefits to immortality. It's not all bad, obviously. But, let's find a more private place to talk, and then we can, decide what to do from there.
I mean, this little nook we found is definitely private enough. I suppose the question is whether there's droppers otherwise that can hear us regardless of where we're at in the city. But
Is there any particular way that you guys can think of to, figure out if we're being listened on? Because it seems like someone is tracking us. I just don't exactly know how.
Tiffany, anything come to your mind?
It's funny you talked to Tiffany about it.
We had to escape a man or two in her lifetime.
Yeah, but
How
she's
did that away
also
from this tale.
I was thinking more possible experience with espionage or being spied on, but sure.
Okay, Jasper, sorry.
So, Tiffany, do you have any ideas of what might be going on?
What might be going on exactly?
Yeah, it seems like we're being tracked, or at least followed in some sense, and we need some privacy if we're going to rescue Malith. So it would be foolhardy to just run
Well-
into. Go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you, but it seems like the only way to really get that would be to somehow get out of town and come back in, and I'm not certain how successful we could be with that, given that it seems our presence here is already known and they'll be probably be more on guard.
Yeah. What we could do is I could answer Pietro's summons. I think it would be a little weird for me to just go alone, because that will obviously raise some alarm bells. But if I go with someone else and have a reasonable story, I think we might get away with having a second group go rescue Malith. Or maybe we need some more information.
I can
Well,
I can
that's-
go with you, Prince. I'm certainly not one for espionage.
Well, I mean, I did suggest us splitting like this last time, and one thing we could do was fake a fight between us before we do, so we could really make it look like whoever doesn't go visit Pietro is no longer aligned with whoever it does.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy thing to pull off, considering how eager Jasper seems to want to meet Pietro for reasons that seem maybe a bit harsh, to put it lightly.
I will say that Tiffany said all that. But yeah, I think we should fake a conflict. Two of us can go to Pietro, and the other two can go try to get your friend.
Okay.
If I may, I think it would be wise for. I mean, sure, 2 to Pietro, but if possible, I think we may need all the other members of our group to rescue Malith. We're not too familiar with this Lich and what he's capable of.
Jasper, are you good at sneaking? I think Hestia and Tiffany would probably do very well in the espionage department, but a one-legged
Yeah, Jasper was already pointing at his leg.
Tiffany's going to say Jasper seemed pretty confident before that Pietro won't kill him, and his leg is an impediment, so I actually think he should go with friend.
I
He's a liability for us, and if he is accurate in his assessment, he won't be a liability for you. And at any rate, he wanted to go see Pietro before.
that is my worry.
Well,
My worry
yes,
is that he wants to go see Pietro.
well, here's the
Prince,
thing, though. If it's his life at stake, then that's his choice. But again, he would be a liability for sneaking.
It's not just his life that would be in his hands. I mean, you saw how quickly the other vampires responded with violence to accusations. And
Oh, didn't you say that you only joined this group recently, Prince?
yes, that's true. I don't understand exactly everyone's motivations.
Okay, well, play off that. You just joined the group. You don't know that much about Jasper. You don't know much about why someone would be in conflict with him. If something goes south, just distance yourself from him. If Jasper is really if Jasper is truly comfortable with risking his life in the presence of Pietro, then he should be fine with this.
Alright, Jasper, if you do anything or say anything that puts my life in danger, I'm going to throw you under the horse and buggy.
One, I'd like to see you try, but 2, Hestia has been awfully quiet. I think we should probably hear how she feels. She was a bit more vocal last time, I think, and I think we should all be in agreement, at least, if not 100%, a general consensus of what the plan is and who goes with who. Hestia, any thoughts? And the social anxiety kicks in.
My heavens.
difficulties.
No worries.
Record, even though that for some reason none of my Discord are loading for me, so if I disappear, I'm just assuming that my internet connection is wonky. I don't know how I'm still talking and able to hear y'all,
All
but
good.
it's like a completely unloaded screen in terms of messages. It's like that on my phone too, even with Wi-Fi off, so I don't know how this is. It might just be a Discord thing though, because other stuff seems to be loading
They
fine.
did update recently and add something with voice chats and messages. I didn't read it that much when I turned my computer on, but you may be running an old version. They did change something with the messaging.
Maybe so, because it's just not. Oh yeah, it does tell me I have an update ready. It says it'll cause me to leave briefly, though, so if I disappear and come back, this is why.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
I think either way, it's gonna be okay. Whether or not he joins Pietro, I think that's probably where he should be. Because he is business with Pietro.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
I would not deny Jasper of this moment to potentially get information. And I agree with Tiffany that if something does happen, Prince, just distance yourself. I don't know if I will in a situation, but I think that would work fine for you.
I think just have him go where he feels most like he should be.
wait. I'm a little flattered, but also a little confused. I felt like last time. Aside from Tiffany, of course, there were some strong, concerns about me facing Pietro. Some of which I even voiced because I didn't quite think this is when I would like to face him. Yes, I don't plan on getting ourselves into trouble right now. I have every intention of not reaching my ultimate goal today.
So, hypothetically, if Emmeline Tempest is in the presence of Pietro.
Don't worry, I've got that figured out.
Yeah.
I'll discuss with you in a second, but
Okay.
Well, I think what the underlying issue is, and honestly, Jasper, I don't mean to pry, but
I think either way
don't
he's a
know
liability.
exactly. We don't know what you want with Emmeline. We don't know exactly mostly what your end goal is exactly, if I can be honest. I mean, look, I understand that it's personal, but I mean, we don't really have time for any more impersonal questions right now. What exactly is your end game here? Obviously, I'm sure you want to help Zelk here, but I think we would all be fools in thinking that is your only goal.
I've definitely not pretended that.
Right, of course.
I think I've actually made it apparent that I do feel like for personal reasons and for the success of this mission in the long term, Pietro's demise is necessary.
Yes,
Saving
you haven't been
Zelk here.
specific, though, is what I'm saying.
As in, I haven't, because we're within the city walls, I haven't used the words Il K, Empire Ve, or, I mean,
You did say that you wanted to kill Pietro.
we're in the.
We're in a nook, aren't we?
I mean, I don't know
We're
if
in the
there's
nook.
some kind of. I don't know if there's some kind of enchantment where keywords activate some type of silent alarm or something. But I'm just saying, I'm being discreet simply because we're within the city walls, not because I haven't been somewhat straightforward previously.
Well, I will be honest here. I have not been here very long, and I have so far nothing particularly against Pietro except for the fact that he has controlled an entire city. I don't know what exactly his motivations are yet, or how reasonable he is, but from what you guys tell me, he sounds like a pretty bad guy with a past that is awful. But I only have one side of the story, so I'm not sure yet what our approach to Pietro should be, but I just don't want to go into a situation where malintent is obvious and where we can't walk out of it alive and in one piece. That is my only fear. Right now.
Of course, we shouldn't greet him with any kind of hostility. We're in no place to make any kind of vaguely threatening remarks or aggressive stances.
I agree.
Okay. Well, as long as we have that understood, I think Jasper and I should answer the summons of Pietro. I'm not sure we exactly need to have a public disagreement, but we can do that.
Just a public one because it would make our separation more believable and might keep people from hunting those of us who leave.
Okay.
But
Or they just hunt the ones that don't answer the summons.
Yes, I think that is more likely. But I think they will hunt you guys, so if we do have a public disagreement, you guys have to make haste. That's one fear I have, but we can try it.
No, man,
I'm
I
willing
think
to go with party vote on that. If you think a public conflict will be detrimental, then I'm fine not doing it. If you think it might help suspicion to be lower, then...
Well, I think that any disagreement in this particular place at this particular moment will signal that one part of the party is vehemently against the regime, and them leaving, to me, would signal, leaving publicly, to me, would signal that they're enemies of the state. And I don't know exactly how law enforcement is done here, but I can't imagine that undead are particularly lenient towards people who openly talk about treason or openly disagree that would imply treason. That's why I don't know if public disagreement is the best option.
I mean, I imagine by just going by the little bit I've heard y'all talk and me seeing y'all kill that worm is, it seems like you've probably already raised suspicions as being enemies of the powers that be here.
Maybe.
Obviously, you're not exactly helping out the undead of Zelkir. We just had a fight with the powers that be here. Like, we're already enemy number one.
Maybe, but I think in that context,
I
in
guess
living,
let me just explain my reasoning. The whole reason I suggested a public fight is it seems like we've already made ourselves look like this Pietro's guy's enemies. And if any of us accept his summons and go there, then it's going to raise some questions like, why would you go from being his enemy to accepting his summon?
One thing we could say, and this is easily justifiable, I mean, this would be an acceptable answer for me, is that why put all of our cards on the table? You know, I can just tell Pietro, if he's like, why aren't all of you here? I can say, well, you know, if you were just baiting us into a trap, you won't be able to kill all of us. And if they wanted to ask any questions, you know, you could just give those to us, and then we could ask those for you. So we don't have to give him our full hand. I think that that's a perfectly acceptable answer, rather than saying, like, yeah, we are all here. We are all here for your trap to kill all of us. I think that that is reasonable. We don't even really have to lie at all about that, and it just makes sense. I mean, even if we weren't trying to get Maleth out, I would probably suggest that anyways.
I would also say that I think it's pretty believable that a group of living beings coming across an undead monstrosity that is terrorizing their homeland would respond to it violently. I don't see that as being unreasonable. I mean, if you see a rabid dog, you put it down. And I don't think that Pietro is completely unreasonable, and I also don't think his motivations are to just wipe us out, because I think if that was his motivations, he would have at least attempted that by now. Every group that has come at us has at least been open to talking. It seems like they have a worldview that they're wanting to push on this land, and I think that's more important than like a good guys, bad guys sort of mentality. So I'm thinking that I think he has some sort of motivation trying to convince us of something. I don't think he's trying to kill us. And that's why I don't think he sees us as enemies right now. I think he sees us as
Honestly,
converts.
that's probably right.
I think he sees us as
probably-
converts.
Well,
no,
yes, but I'd rather not have his conversation be, hey, serve or die, which is also a possibility. He doesn't
Which-
see us as enemies yet.
Yeah, I don't think he
But
sees us as
depending on the
enemies.
conversation, we
Um,
might have
Nomad.
to do some finessing. Yes.
I think, maybe I owe. Heck, I don't know that I owe anybody this, but there's something I've been meaning to tell you, if I may have a private word.
Of course. I will
mean,
follow
it-
Jasper wherever he wants to have the private word.
Okay. All right. So I guess we just kind of just withdraw to like a. I'm not sure. We were kind of like in a small like alley
To
or
the
nook
other
or
side of
whatever.
the nook.
Just the other side. Yeah.
Now you're in the cranny.
Oh no.
So. Look, I understand your hesitation, your concerns.
And before you say anything, by the way,
yeah.
just because I am concerned doesn't mean that I don't trust you, okay? Look, I just want to make sure that we're being honest here. We know what everyone wants. There's no surprises, but we can, anticipate how things are going to go down so that, we can avoid any confrontations that might not be beneficial. But don't get me wrong, I hold no animosity towards you, nor mistrust. I just think that, this would be helpful to know. But I'm sorry, go on.
Well, appreciate that. So I want to make it clear that I am here. Yes, on a personal mission, and that personal mission, I don't see how it gets in the way of oh geez, I must be getting old. I've already forgot his name. In a moment. Our fearless leader,
Oh, Vocalion?
Volkswagen. I don't think that I don't see how what I want to accomplish gets in the way of Volkelian's mission, gets in the way of maybe even Charlemagne's mission, as much as we know about it, to free Zelkir, have it reconquered for mortal kind. But I'm not foolhardy. I do have every intention of not only surviving all of this, but continuing to fight in other expeditions and dying of old age. I don't have a suicide wish by any means. I I do feel a strong desire to confront Emmeline Tempest, to confront Pietro. I do think they need to. They do need to slumber. I'm speaking, in metaphor because, again, I don't know if certain words draw the attention of the undead police. But the point is, I almost hesitate to go. I would prefer to not go right now because I feel that the opportunity would be better otherwise. But I agree with Prince that it would be a missed opportunity to not confront Pietro. Gain some insight. I do think the best option is to split. Have definitely Prince, although there's high risk in that, and I will explain that in a moment. And somebody to accompany him. You mentioned yourself, but one, I know Pietro. I've fought Pietro. Nearly won. Well, did win, but I almost really won, if you know what I'm saying. I've fought... Well, no, I guess that's not true, but I am very familiar with what Emmeline is capable of. And I imagine that she'll be there in his company. She is a diviner, and something that you need to know, and I mentioned I would bring this up later, but something you need to know about Prince is that after I've realized that he's I guess I don't really know how to pronounce it, I've only seen it in writing, but he's a Shabti. Are you familiar with that at all?
No. Please enlighten me.
Well, Pharasma, her powers are immense, but I wouldn't exactly say that everything that happens, that emanates from her, that comes from her, is entirely intentional. I'm getting a little bit into theory here, but our understanding of Shabti is that when some mortal meets judgment for their, supposed unrighteous pursuit of immortality, they face Pharasma's judgment. And the afterbirth of that judgment, or the consequence of Pharasma having her ire faced towards this individual, is a Shabti. It's created in response to the sins of seeking immortality in a way that doesn't quite fit with Pharasma's designs. And that individual is Prince. At least I think that's... I'm fairly confident that that's what's happened. Now, the thing that researchers have found with Shabti is that when they come to discover their identity, whether they figure it out themselves or have it revealed to them, it can be quite a psychological shock, if you will, and that can be quite the impressionable experience on them. It can be very liberating to find out what they really are. It could be very earth-shattering. And with Emmeline being a diviner, I can protect him from that potential exposure. I'm not sure that she may know. She may know. There's a good chance that she may know. But I can protect his thoughts from her. And for that reason, since Prince is eager to go, and honestly, his curiosity may get more out of Pietro than he would otherwise give us, this could be to our advantage, but everything else considered, having Prince go is quite the liability, which is why I think, as much as I don't want to go face Pietro now, I think I should be the one to go with Prince. Plus, you really did a number on that necromancer. I mean, you have his staff. Honestly, I think you would probably be best suited helping the other group retrieve Maleth. And honestly, that's the main reason why I want to be here right now. I would love to be part of the group going to save Maleth. I think that she's... I mean, all of us have something to contribute. I think she's quite invaluable for, well, not just...
I wink at Jasper as I say that and give him like a pat on the arm.
No, not in that way. Jasper looks down at his left hand. And says, "No, it's not like that. It's she would make a formidable enemy were she to be turned. But if she's our ally still, and if we can rescue her, I think that Pietro would find himself in terrible circumstances. So I would like to personally rescue Maleth. I think I'd be quite useful for that, but I think that you would be more useful for that operation. I would be more useful in making sure that Prince doesn't get himself into a terrible situation. And that's really that's what I would hope to do. I think that he is hesitant, and I know that you've been hesitant, so I hope that I've persuaded you and that you can hopefully persuade Prince.
To go, or
for me to go with him to face Pietro.
okay. Look, while I am useful on the front lines, as I said before, stealth and espionage is certainly not my forte. Case in point, and I'll take like a really deep breath with my chest and like puff it out, and exhale. It's like the armor plates like shift and make like a loud like sound. Logistically, it's not the best. I'm useful once the fighting starts, but who's to say we even want to fight the Lich in the first place? What if we could just get in, get out?
Well, obviously that'd be preferable. Really, like that's the thing to do.
I mean, of course, I'm not saying that you're outwardly wrong. I don't know of how much assistance I could honestly provide with Pietro, if at all. But I'm not exactly sure where I'm best suited. I don't want to ruin things for the people that would try to sneak and save Maleth, and I'm worried that I might be just equally as useless with Pietro. So, I mean, I suppose if there's something that we can figure out, or that everyone else talks about, me fitting in best. But yeah, I think that you and Prince should definitely go with each other. And one quick question on that: does he know that he's a Shabti?
No, that's actually one of the symptoms of being a Shabti. You think that you're royalty, and well, if he is, he hasn't quite had the usual training you would get. Otherwise, he wouldn't know that he knows it, but he would talk a bit more like he knows it. But he does have the curiosity of someone who's a bit newer to this world, if you get my drift.
Okay, and why not tell him this?
It's because I'm not sure what his reaction would be, and knowing now, I didn't think that he would be the one to face Pietro until recently, and I've still been mulling over whether it'd be good to risk Emmeline or Pietro telling him, and how they could potentially manipulate that information, give him half truths or the whole truths in a way that entices him to their side somehow. I don't know. I've been trying to think of whether they would know, how they would know, how they could use that information. I don't know. I'm sorry. I've thought so much about it, and I haven't quite come to a good conclusion.
Well, if you do think of a way to let him know, I think that you make a good point that misinformation could easily be used against him. So, probably as soon as we can, I'm not saying it has to be like today or anything like that, but
Right.
to prevent him from, like you said, being manipulated, we should try to get in front of that, let him know what he is, and, we can be along with him for that, rather than him finding out from the wrong person, and then, everything devolves from there. But
Right.
I think, you know more than me about this. I'll go by whatever you say. If you think that this is the right play, I mean, of course, you know me. I would prefer not to hide things from people, especially people that
Right.
we're working with. But if you think that for now this is the right play, I will go along with you. But I think that you make a good point, and we should get ahead of this as soon as we can, at the right time, rather than Pietro being the first one to tell him.
There's something that you said about you not being sure where exactly you fit into this plan, and look, every heist has has the plan guy and the muscle, and frankly, you're both. So I think there's and then Jasper just kind of like awkwardly puts his hand, like slaps your arm. I think there's a place for you in that operation, and he just kind of walks away
Okay.
awkwardly, limps away with his cane.
Well, I would walk back to the party, and I'll say, okay, so I think that Jasper should go with Prince. I'm not exactly sure where I fit in, though. Exactly. What
Wait, are
do
you saying
guys
this
think?
to us? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I
I'm
am
not very stealthy, and
I'm
my tongue
still-
isn't as sharp as yours, Prince.
I'm still a little bit worried about Jasper, but he seems to have made some good concessions to whether or not he's going to provoke anything from Pietro. But
We talked about it, Prince, and while he's not willing to share it with everybody yet, I can assure you that he has my full confidence. Although I do understand your concerns.
okay.
Prince, you said you weren't sure exactly where you fit.
Or
guessing-
Nomad said that.
Nomad. Sorry, yes, Nomad. You said that you're not sure exactly where you fit in on the plan, correct?
That's right.
You're not confident in sneaking or with Pietro, I assume.
I mean, with Pietro, I'm sure I could maybe talk to him. I don't think I would be a detriment, but with sneaking, I do think that I would be a detriment, yes.
Well, I kind of have an idea. It may take more time than we want to commit to it, but it may be useful. You seem more adept at fighting than me or Hestia, and it may be useful to have you as something of a watchman so we can send a signal out or something if something goes wrong. Now, maybe the most effective way to do that is, I don't know, there's got to be some guards or something around here. Maybe you could disguise yourself as one of those. That might be too much work, but I mean, we might could use you for some sort of defense measure, I guess, is what I'm saying, more so than actually helping us sneak. And if Hestia can send messages to you if something goes awry, then you can rescue us if need be. I guess is my point.
All right. I
Basically,
suppose that would be
You could be a
sufficient.
scout / guard, more or less, if you would like.
Okay, that can work. I could probably also passively sneak if I took my armor off. I remember my late wife teaching me some things about skulking about, but I don't know what you think about that. I'm just throwing that out as an option.
If you feel comfortable with it, I am fine with it. But I will say I would feel more at ease with you nearby if something goes awry with this, because I still think that someone's going to be looking for us. And even though me and Hestia can both hold our own in a fight, you never know.
Okay. I agree with that then. I think you make a good point. I guess our next course of options would be scouting around, I suppose. I suppose the palace is perhaps the most obvious place to look first. Mela said that she was in a... Right? Didn't she?
I'm going to jump in for just a moment.
Oh,
so,
no.
there's two ways that we can proceed with this. Being that we're going to be splitting the party and having kind of two things. We can play them out in tandem, jumping kind of back and forth between them as we go. Or we could run Jasper and Prince going to the palace tonight, and then run the heist component, which takes place chronologically, simultaneously, next time. Gabriel might be able to be here for that, but that would also allow us to reach a hopefully solid or more satisfying conclusion tonight, and not have to cut off like mid-heist or anything like mid-combat. Given the current time frame, it would be difficult to wrap both things up satisfactorily tonight. So that's one way we could do it, is just run the palace tonight and then the heist next time, or we could kind of get partway through each tonight. What do you guys think? Or are there other options on how you'd like to run that? I had planned on running them in tandem, but given that both Gabriel's not here tonight and the time, those are the two thoughts that come to my mind first as alternatives.
My only thing is that I don't want to leave people out. I don't mind being out and you guys doing the heist tonight and me just sitting and listening. That'll be fine with me. I mean, I was listening to you guys' campaign before I joined. But I don't want to push anyone else out, and it sounds like you're more leaning towards the palace being tonight because Gabriel's likely going to be in the heist, right?
Yes, but also I would like to leave if you guys want to deviate from just doing a split and a partial ending tonight and then continue it next time, if you guys want to do that, then I'm totally fine with that. We can do that. If you would rather do it differently, I think that we could get a satisfying conclusion tonight for the palace side and then the heist next time. So,
and I'm less likely to be able to play this time or really be interacting as much.
Erica says that she is going to have a harder time tonight as well, just because while she's participating right now, she's also prepping for the birthday party tomorrow. So
okay.
In the end, though, it's up to you guys.
We can do I'm up for doing the palace tonight, if that's what the consensus is seeming like. I will say, who was I was definitely listening, but I don't know if I got it complete. Is it just me and Jasper going into the palace?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another option is we could do the palace tonight, and then the rest of you could do your scouting and information gathering, and we save the actual heist for next time with the preparatory work tonight.
Like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Cool.
Then, if we want to go with that, then we will get started with the palace, and then we will periodically step away for you guys to gather information and make preparations. But you guys dictate the start of that as far as when you get going, and then I'll take over when it gets to my realm. So.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, so Jasper and I have we fully finished discussing everything?
Well, I suppose the big question is how do we meet back up after... I mean, there's a chance that our visit with Pietro may end rather, without much incident.
Well, we don't even know where Maleth is. For all we know, Maleth
Exactly.
could be in the palace with him right now. So, we don't know where Maleth is. We don't know what his intentions are with Maleth, and we haven't done any information gathering about that necessarily.
One thing I
so-
would say... go ahead.
No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to interject and look at Hestia and ask, is there a way for you to get in contact with Prince and Jasper once we found Maleth? Oh, well.
Sending.
We heard it. Well, I heard
You
it,
did?
sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, when to wrap up, I guess we should probably think of a meeting place or something, unless Nomad had a different suggestion, since he was also about to say something.
I was also going to say, yes, if things get intense, things go wrong with Pietro or with rescuing Maleth, that's probably going to set off an alarm all throughout the city. We should try to at least think of a way that we can exit. Find a route that we all know that we'll be taking if, some kind of alarm goes off, or the situation turns bad. We should secure some kind of escape route that we can all take, we can all meet up at, all use to make sure that we're going to the same place and not just scattering. And I was also going to say, does anybody that has access to arcane magic, do any of you have Featherfall, perchance? Because with that, I mean, mostly I'm just worried about... Okay, well, great. Because, with that, windows are suddenly... So...
says that she has Featherfall.
Okay, great. And we're both covered on that front. Mostly what I'm worried about, though, is Prince and Jasper with that, though. I would just keep that close to your vest, try to look for a way that you can escape, through there. They probably won't expect that immediately, so, that can at least be one trick up your sleeve you have. But yeah, I would see that we scout for, an escape route first, and then we can do all of our reconnaissance for trying to find Maleth and such, and go from there. That sounds good to everybody.
Yes, that sounds good.
Alright, then I suppose we would head off. Is there a map that we have of the capital, perchance?
At the moment, no.
Okay, hold on one second. So, Ears of the City says I can touch one creature and I get to see a stream of past scenes and information related to local people and events. Do I have to touch a local person to do that, or can I touch,
Yes.
one of the party members? Okay.
It has to be someone who has been able to have some level of connection to the city on a more personal level than just...
Wait, Charlemagne's with us, right?
He is with you.
That's right.
Charlemagne has been in the city.
His interaction with the city is not recent. What's the spell? Let me take a look at the spell specifically. What's the name of it?
It's
Yeah,
called Ears of the City.
I was also going to ask if maybe Tiffany could come up with something here from her past, but she's been out of the city so long, it probably wouldn't be any more useful than Charlemagne.
I'm going to say, based on the description of the spell, that it needs to be more recent. It mentions related to local people and events. So, if you were to use it on Charlemagne, you wouldn't get... Either you would get nothing, or you'd get nothing recent. Nothing relevant.
Well, I mean, the information I would be looking for is local taverns or places to meet up.
That
And if he's been in
information
the,
you could get from him, yes.
Yes, we were looking for a map, so and a place to meet up.
Yep.
So
If you're looking for something that, in theory, would retain its location through the transitions that have happened in the city, then yes, you would be able to get that from either. If Tiffany is familiar enough with the city, or Charlemagne, either one.
Yeah, should I just roll like a knowledge local or something?
Yes, go ahead and do that.
I'll
Okay.
give her guidance.
There we go. Knowledge local.
Yeah, use that 0 level spell slot, Nomad.
I got an 18, so
+1 from the guidance. You don't remember all the specifics of the city, but you do have a general idea of where you could find one of the shops that might have a map or something of the like. You know,
hey,
where the,
I would make.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Be like, my knowledge is kind of old, but I think there's a shop in this place we might could find a map at, or something. Or at least some
Okay.
general info.
well,
I think that's a smart idea.
You know, Malkar isn't as big as some of the other capital cities elsewhere in the region, and so it's not near as disparate, and so there's not necessarily like a dedicated market district.
okay. So we can go find a map to find a meeting place. Or we can just use the place where she's getting the map as a meeting place afterwards. I mean, does it matter where we meet up in particularly?
We wouldn't want to put the shop owners in danger if they're still alive, which they may not be.
Right. They might think that they're associated with us.
Yes, I wouldn't want to endanger anyone else on our way out unless.
I mean,
they're
we
really
could
associated.
we could just meet up at the grate that we came into the city from, couldn't we?
Yeah, I suppose that's as fine as any. And if we don't show up within a certain time, I think that we should also have a plan for that. That
Well-
you should leave the city if we don't show up at,
I agree.
by
There's no
like the
sense.
end of the day or something.
I agree. There's no sense in half the party endangering themselves if the other half's already not great.
Okay. Is there anything we can do to that location that makes it safer for when people come? Like, is there like I don't know how protection from evil works necessarily, but someone might be able to at least, I don't know, make it safer for if someone shows up and then they have to wait. And then, last time we were sort of ambushed by a messenger while we were there. So I don't know if there's a way to protect someone if they have to meet up there alone.
Well, actually, we might want to select a different location. I mean, if anything, if they have half a mind, they're probably
Look
going
there
to,
first.
yeah, look here first, or put somebody here, and if the grate is destroyed, because, I mean, this is security risk to the whole city now. So, this isn't like a bad idea. If we can find like maybe a different grate, just something else. But yeah, this spot, though, I think we've used up just about everything,
Yeah.
especially because, the grates probably aren't even a good idea in the first place. They probably had these under surveillance, because, like us, they probably just knew that this was one of the first good choices, other than the front door. So, maybe we should try to find somewhere other than one of the drainage pipes.
Okay.
It sounds like
Especially
regardless of where
now
we
that they know
pick,
that
we
we already
need a
tried
map.
this one. Right.
Okay.
We should get a map.
Okay, well, if Hestia can do ascending, I don't know how often she can do it. Jasper and I can head to the palace while you guys go get a map and decide on a meeting place, or should we wait and everyone look at the map so we know where we're going? I don't know how much information can be given through ascending, but
I think finding a map might be best. That way, if we speak in geographical terms, in order to meet up, and potentially we may need to do an emergency escape, go to the shadow plane through Hestia's abilities.
Okay.
Who knows what'll happen?
That is true as well. That is our ace in the hole. Should things go wrong with the heist, she does have that, which is and not super reliable, but definitely an escape for sure.
Okay. So let's go get a map. Inconspicuously.
I think one person get it.
Okay. It should not be me, because if I'm seen looking for a map and then heading towards Pietro, that might not be great. I'm also not the greatest at like sneaking, so
I think especially if we're under surveillance and they see us buying a map, that might
Yes.
not send the best message.
Well,
Tiffany, are
Just-
you comfortable with grabbing that yourself and staying
Yes.
out of sight?
certainly. I have a feeling I've attracted less attention than any of you. And I've certainly been with the rest of you for less time. So, sure, I'll go get the map. Come back.
Okay.
I can also make a quick disguise if need be. So, in fact, I think that's what I will do. So, I guess I will disguise myself and go get the map. I don't know if I need to roll anything for any
roll
of
a
that.
disguise check.
Guidance.
hold on. If we're doing guidance,
22.
would we roll the ability for it?
What do you mean?
What?
I'm not actually familiar with guidance, so I'm asking, do I roll? I want to guide too. Do I just roll the?
It won't
corresponding
stack
skill?
if multiple people are using guidance. It's just a cantrip that gives a +1 to a.
Oh, okay,
Just pretty much your next D20 roll, it gives a +1. I believe a competence bonus.
okay. Well, never mind.
But okay, so with a 23 disguise, I guess technically you wouldn't know that, but yeah, you're able to make a competent disguise just using the materials you have at hand, change your look enough that you can blend into the city. You actually give yourself kind of an almost ashen look like someone who's, very much fits in, part of Melkar and not an outsider in the slightest. So you go towards the area that you're pretty sure would have some shops in this part of the city. And you're able to quickly pick apart a more general store that has some odds and ends, knickknacks, a little bit of food. The food is not openly displayed, but is behind more of a counter. And there's written on the wall what is at hand. But you notice that there is also some things listed as goods that you would not expect in a normal city. Things that you would imagine are more proclivities of the undead. Certain things such as body parts or other knickknacks that a regular person would not want to purchase at a store. But as you enter, the shopkeeper looks at you and you can see a bit of tiredness in his eyes. Welcome. Welcome to Humphrey's Goods. What can I do for you?
The first time I've been in the city in a few years, and I would like to buy a map if you still sell them.
A visitor? At times like these? You're either
Uh,
very foolish or very interesting.
Tiffany's gonna smile and wink and say, I definitely prefer interesting. I'm actually from here. It's just been a long time, and I didn't realize when I returned home that things were in the state they were.
You intend
So-
to stay as As is.
I would rather not, but I don't really know of an alternative right now. And I would rather know my way around for however long I'm stuck here than not. You know, it's very scary times, and I need any sort of security I can get, even if it's just knowing my way around.
He nods. A word of advice. And he kind of, he rifles around with some things in the back, and he pulls out a map, and he puts it down and says, that will be 1 gold piece. And he holds out his hand and says, a word of advice, though. Keep your head down. Especially recently, things have been very volatile for those still among the living. Some few of the favored are selected to join with our new masters, but some others that draw too much attention to themselves are chosen as servants or as pets.
Tiffany's going to nod and say, thank you for the advice, and she's going to hand him the gold coin and say, I'll do my best to keep my head down, and I hope not to be stuck here long. Might I ask how exactly people are getting so lucky as to not be kept as servants or pets? Is it just going along with things, or...?
Most are not taken. It is those that the king or his followers find to be more enticing, though there are those who willingly go and accept the boons and the riches offered by the king. And you can see, as he says the king, a bit of a hesitance behind it.
Tiffany's going to nod and say, I hate to see how my home has gotten like this, but I'm glad to see there are some that are still alive. I hope you continue to do as well as possible. If I were trying to get out of the city without suspicion drawn to me, do you have any advice?
Leave. Guards will often search people coming in and out, checking for those who are among the living or the dead. But at least right now, all are welcome within Melkar. Welcome to come, welcome to leave. Those who do not cause problems. Many who stay simply have nowhere else to go.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, that's pretty much how I ended up here. I guess I wanted some sort of plan for whenever I could get out. But it's good to know it sounds like that won't be as difficult as I feared.
The issue in leaving is less in leaving the city and more in escaping the desert. Being able to survive.
Tiffany's gonna nod solemnly and say, I was afraid you'd say that. That's partly been my hesitancy in attempting it.
The desert is an
It's rough out
unforgiving
there.
place. And I understand that
It is.
nothing else stands within Zalkyr. That only Melkar remains, and as the land is consumed by the undead, that things will become more stable and the fighting will cease, but for now, it is a volatile place. Not a place to be wandering.
Okay, kind of out of game question. Is Barrowing the name of the city that's still not taken yet?
Yes.
Okay,
Last
well,
standing city.
Tiffany is going to look at him kind of quizzically and say, I've heard rumors that Barrowlane is not fallen yet. Have you heard to the contrary?
Barrowain was destroyed.
He's going to look kind of surprised and say, when?
I do not know. But I know that The king's eye was turned towards it, and those who stood within it, that all of Zelkir has been consumed by what is going on, is becoming part of the new Zelkir.
Tiffany's going to look legitimately, genuinely sad and say, I am so sorry to hear that. I had heard just a couple of days ago that Barrowain still stood, and I hoped to make my way there eventually, and after you saying what you did, I hope you could too, but if it's fallen, then I don't know what any of us can do. But thank you for your help, sir, for the map. I'm trying to live as best I can, considering all the circumstances. Thank you. And
He
she's going
nods.
to like another piece of silver, something to the gold she gave.
He nods. Is there anything else that I can help you with? Any other tools or resources? I have food as well, though it is not of the greatest quality. There is very little sunlight that reaches into the city.
I actually am somewhat supplied with food right now. Not enough to make it through the desert or anything, but enough that I would hate to take from someone else who needs it more. But thank you. I appreciate.
He cocks an eyebrow at you and says, "It is here, it is for sale. You're not taking it from me. Purchase it and you are helping me if that's what you wish."
Well, I meant that someone else might come in needing to buy it more than I do.
Fine. No, it's okay.
Oh. Okay, well, I guess. Thank you. I appreciate your help. If I need any other supplies, I'll make sure to come back to you. Do what I can to keep you afloat. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. Be safe in your stay in Malkar.
Thank you. You too. And then Tiffany will make her way back to the party with the map, and also would say, have any of you heard any recent news of Barrowain?
I will say this, Tiffany, you would have heard earlier when I was talking to that one girl, Melanie, I think was her name, that I told her that she should probably go to Barrowain. So you would know that as well.
Okay, yes, I forgot about that.
No, you're good. But I would speak up and say, yes, we're come from Barrowain just about a couple of days ago. Why do you ask?
The shopkeeper is under the belief that Barrowain has also fallen and there's no longer any strongholds in Zelkir. I don't know how accurate that is, or if that's more recent news than what you've heard, but it's definitely something he believed. Should we need to buy food, he also has some.
Good. And to speak on Barrowain, the situation surely isn't the best, but the city stands. And it stands steadfast, at least for now.
Well, that's good to know. He certainly didn't believe it. I feel bad for him.
They've probably told everyone in the city that, so that nobody thinks about running. Because, of course, where would they go? If not Barrowain, they're just going out to die and starve. Or,
In
you
the
know,
desert.
be killed by a wandering group of ghouls or some such.
Yes, he says as long as people don't attract attention to themselves, they're typically allowed to come and go as they please. If they draw attention, they're taken in as servants or otherwise. But he truly believed that there was no place in Zelkir to go.
Taken like our young Melanie. Well,
Wait.
at least she knows.
Nomad, you were saying something about trying to make the people here feel like there really is nowhere else to go as bad as the situation is here. Now, why the rain? Why the constant ring of rain around the city? I wonder, you know, we do live, or not we do live, we are in a desert. I almost wonder if the rain around the city does what little it can for the crops just to incentivize people to stay here. Can't imagine that the lack of sunlight really helps enough, but people have food here, they have what little they can to get by and remain mortal. And maybe whatever's beyond that ring of rain probably just is a grim outlook for anybody who would try to escape here. That, and maybe it's a marker to kind of indicate, you know, once you're beyond this line, you're free game to the ghouls and to the ghouls and the skeletons and zombies out there that would ravage you to bits.
That actually seems kind of likely, considering that the city itself seems to be a bastion of undead and mortal beings alike. And outside of it, it seems as though there are giant worms running around killing whatever they see, and museums of former villages.
I mean, it's hell, inside or out.
Yeah, bastion's not the right word.
Making a better living for yourself inside of this city or out of it. But there's no reason to leave, at least, if you know that it doesn't get better anywhere else.
Yeah. But every empire has to start somewhere, doesn't it? And he is trying to create an empire, it seems.
So how about that map? What do we have here?
Got a good map of the city. You know, you're able to note on it which parts of the city are more, or I should say, are less trafficked, are likely the more rich parts of the city, and then which parts are more occupied by tradesmen and other craftsmen, as well as you note that out to the west, as well as a little bit to the north, there are noted outside of the walls of the city certain areas with crops. As well as, let's see. Yeah, I mean, is there any, what specific information are you wanting to have from the map? Because I don't have a map specifically, but if there's information that you need about the city, I can give that to you.
I think we were just looking for a place to meet up that was inconspicuous.
Yeah, and like help plan a route out.
Yeah. So if that's what you're wanting, then you definitely have the information here on the map to be able to do that.
I would also like to figure out if there's a potential other, you know, fancy regal building that Maleth may be in, because we know that the Lich, you know, from like just an account that we heard, we know that the Lich does visit Pietro, so that could have been the Lich in his palace. But if there's another building by chance.
There are 4 notable buildings nearby the palace, but outside of the grounds of the palace itself, that appear to be magistrates or other officials of the city would be having their offices there or their homes in that area. There's several mansions and city buildings, I would say. And they are in the lower traffic parts of the city, closer to the capital, or closer to the palace.
So what do you think? Do you think that Maleth's in the palace or one of these buildings near it?
Well, I can probably say this with confidence that the buildings near it are probably going to be easier to search than the palace itself.
Good thinking.
we don't want to waste a lot of time, I don't know. I don't know anything about your friend. Is there a reason she in particular may have been taken?
Well, it
Bit of
seems
a long story. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Prince.
I was just going to say I haven't been here very long, but my impression was that she has some sort of direct connection with Pietro himself. So that's why I was maybe thinking that she might be in the same building as Pietro, since that is the connection. But he may have her in some other building close by. We don't know his intention with her, but obviously, if it were to kill her, she'd be dead already. And
Does anyone else know exactly what this connection to Pietro is?
I don't.
Pietro's her father.
Tiffany's gonna raise an eyebrow and say, well, it sounds to me like it's more likely she's in the palace then.
Yeah, I would think so as well.
I mean, I would rather her be in one of the other buildings, as already stated, it'd be easier to search, but again, we don't want to spend too much time searching dead ends. Unless there's a specific building that you think is more likely than the palace.
Well, one thing we could do is if we found someone who works at the palace, we could convince them to allow me to look through their past experiences and maybe get a handle on where Maleth might be if she is in the palace. Because if she is in the palace and she is the daughter of the supposed king, then I would wager that the servants would be serving her. I don't think that she is going to be a prisoner in the sense of being inside a jail cell. I think she's going to be the sort of prisoner who is in a fancy room with servants coming and going and that sort of thing. So if we can find a servant that goes home after their service, that might be one way to find out some information. I have ways of convincing especially the more fleshy people of giving information.
I mean, that's a good idea, but it seems like we would have to be very fortunate to find a servant of the palace who also happened to be a servant who had something to do with Maleth. Like, but then also seems.
Sorry, you're cutting out, Maleth or Tiffany.
Yeah, a little muffled, but yeah.
Sorry, it's probably my internet connection being nasty, but as I was saying, that sounds like a great idea, except trying to inconspicuously get a hold of a servant in the palace who also happened to be one in contact with Maleth seems something of a wild goose chase. We'd have to be very lucky to be able to do that in a timely fashion without drawing any attention to ourselves.
Where did we had the perfect candidate just recently? Where did we send her again? What was her name?
Melanie, and she just said that she had a friend's place she could stay at.
Do we know where she might have went?
I certainly don't think so.
Oh no.
We already did question her about this though, about Maleth in specific.
Yeah, but she didn't know what she was doing. I have a means to look at her previous conversations and get a sense of what she was doing.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you did, is what I mean. Didn't he?
No, I didn't.
Jagger?
Questions
Did he not?
about Maleth, and she had seen that Maleth was brought, I recall. And I don't want to divulge things that I've told some of you, but not others. So I can't remember exactly what it was that she told you. Does anybody else who's not the player who plays Malith remember what I told the rest of the party?
Well,
Just because you also, I mean, there's conversations that you and I have had as Malith side conversations that I don't remember exactly what was said there and what was said to the party exclusively.
I mean, I guess the main question that the other party members might know is whether Melanie said specifically if Malith was taken to the palace or somewhere else.
I know that she saw that. I'm gonna say this, and if this is different from what I said before, then we're retconning that to
Here.
this, but
May I?
yes, if you...
Melanie did say that she recalls a Maleth.
Yes.
So
She did say that.
this is what I would suggest. If we have a way of tracking Melanie down, or at least where she went to, I have a means of probably figuring out where Malith is from her, even if she does not remember. I just have to touch her.
How
And-
exactly does that work? Because she
I
may not
have-
have even have had any kind of contact with Maleth anyways.
I have a spell that allows me to touch someone and hear the conversations of the people around her that she has come into contact with. It would let me hear rumors and speculations, and I can concentrate on a particular topic to figure out if what the servants, because she's obviously a servant of some sort, and she may have had a passing with somebody who would know where Malith is, and this spell would allow me to search through the conversations of such people. We would just need to find her and let me touch her, but I don't know if that's possible.
How much time do we have on our hands to do all of this?
It would only take 5 minutes if we found her. It may take, I don't know how long it took us, out of character, how long did it take us to get to where we are from where we were before? Taggart?
Repeat your question.
How long did it take us to get from where we are now to where we were before at the Great, where we saw Melanie?
10-15 minutes.
So, if we had someone who was good at tracking, and she had a friend's house that she could stay at, it may take us like 30 minutes to find, since we know that she was in that location, and she does not seem like the particular sneaky type. If we had someone good at tracking who might be able to find where she went to, and if we did, I would just need to touch her for 2 to 3 minutes.
Amazing.
Got it.
Need to have physical contact.
We
with
caught
her
that on the
in
wiretap,
a
right?
very
I think we've got
platonic
him.
way.
Dude, your FBI agent right now is getting real excited.
That's practically an admission of guilt.
Can Hestia do sufficient tracking? Is Hestia here? Is that Hestia right there?
Hestia is probably our...
I can track animals. I can send my owl to look around.
Yeah, she has her owl she could send to look around.
So I can send
But-
her around to look for a person that looks like Hestia.
But how?
Male.
Not Malith, but
Go find
No,
me. I found you.
no. I mean, can you track someone like a person if you know where they were before to where they went to? Like just basic tracking of people. Can you track people?
I can do a survival check, but
I mean, you could just have your, I mean, for the sake of time, I'll throw this out there because I think it's kind of been brought up. But your owl could at least surveil the
area.
few possible options of where Malith might be and see if there's any that seem to have unusual activity. Because you're able to see through its eyes, right?
Oh, well, that's possible. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever you
let's
guys like
do
to do.
that. I want to do the most efficient option. We want to be able to get in and out with your friend as quickly as possible. And before things go south with Pietro.
And remember, if things do go south with Pietro, I can always just take us to the Shadow Realm.
Alright,
That's it.
Jimbo. I'm sending.
Hestia won't be
Shadow
with
Realm.
us necessarily, so you mean if things go south with finding Malith, you guys can escape. Which is,
Well, the
Good.
Be in the same place as Pietro.
that is very true.
We all happen to meet up too. Hestia can use that on all of us.
Okay. Alright,
Unless
so
she needs to use it immediately, but yeah, anyways.
we can use the owl to maybe get some information on where Malith is. If Hestia doesn't mind doing it.
Go ahead, Hestia. Go ahead, Hestia.
Sorry, she's talking to someone real quick.
I
He throws it.
The owl tries to scratch at you.
What's the owl?
Is your
I don't-
owl
I
a
don't-
physical
I don't grab
owl,
your
or is it
owl.
just a spirit owl?
It's a physical owl.
Oh, okay.
And if it dies, it comes back.
What's the owl's name?
What? That sounds like the best pet ever.
It's an immortal pet. Pietro will be pleased.
I think the owl's name is Ash.
Ash. Alright, well, Ash, go forth and scout. Is he doing it?
We'll get to the scouting later because we can alternate back and forth between the meeting with the what's it called.
Okay. So, you guys actually
I thought
don't need
Prince
me and
wanted
Jasper.
to- I thought Prince was going to do the thing with Melanie, though.
I was, I mean, that's if we can track Melanie, which was the question I was asking. But I
Does
don't
the
know if we
freaking
can
bird
find
come
them.
back or not?
I mean, we can go to that. I was just thinking
While
that.
we're waiting,
Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying we can't go to the Pietro thing because we need Prince.
Yeah. So
I have a suggestion
Go ahead,
for
yes.
after. Oh, I was just gonna say, I have a suggestion for after we finish this business, retrieving your friend and getting away from Pietro. I think we should go south. There's a city there that's, I don't know if it's still there or not, but there used to be supplies there that may be useful for keeping Barrowlane intact. If that's something you're interested in once we leave this city.
I'm
We
sorry, can you
could.
say that again? Everything first.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that I think after we settle this business with Pietro and retrieving your friend, there's a city to the south we should go to. I don't know if it's how intact anything still is, but if it is still intact, there may be supplies there that could help hold Barrowlane.
That sounds great. If we do happen to make it out of this, yes.
I mean,
certainly think
unless
we should
you'll
do that.
have other plans. I mean, it has been a few years since I've been in Zelkier. Who knows what all has changed, but it may be worth checking into.
Maybe.
If we
I'm
have
not
time,
sure.
I
Yes,
absolutely
I'm not
think
sure
so,
we-
yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to come of our excursion right now.
I don't either, but we did discuss having some sort of meeting place or something when we leave, and I think something that
Okay, so
maybe if we have a general direction to go, it may be better for when we meet up again.
if we can't meet up at a place in the city, we have a backup plan to go south. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or perhaps we could make our meeting place in the city somewhere conducive towards heading south.
Well, I assume there's only so many ways out of the city. I look on the map, and is there a southern
There is
exit
a
to the
southern
city?
gate. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just make our meeting place around the southern gate. Is there like a tavern that is on the map
Yeah.
that is not not you said we can tell the difference between high trafficked areas and low trafficked areas and like poorer places and wealthier places.
You were able to find a tavern on the map, or at least an area that would have a tavern that fits the needs that you have. You'll be able to tell it apart, and there's enough options that you'd be able to find one suitable to your needs.
Okay. Well, I suggest our first meeting place should be that tavern. And if we do not show up in maybe 12 hours, you should head south. Does that sound like too short of a time?
No, that sounds reasonable.
Okay. We can see if we can track Melanie if we have a tracker that can track Melanie.
I mean, why not just leave the town though? Why not just, I don't know, find some place to set up camp outside of the city? No reason to linger in the city, I suppose, to be honest.
Okay.
I agree.
And by the way, Hestia's option with the owl that she had brought up could just look for an area for Maleth, not for Melanie.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably more expedient anyway.
Okay.
I don't know if the south gate is a good exit point. I mean, because remember, if things do go wrong, that's one of the first places that will be locked down. It's a gate.
Yes, I think all of us sneaking could probably find alternative.
I plan to walk out of this. But I plan for things to go too terribly awry to where I have to run out of a palace and through a bunch of undead to get out of this city. If it comes
right, but I'm saying if things go right, then yeah, we can use the gate. I mean, that's obvious. But if things go wrong, we certainly can't use the gate.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying we should make sure that we have more options.
Okay. Well,
Just in case.
let's check the map for
a particular direction. We don't know exactly what shape we'll be leaving in, how quickly we can get out, what our options will be, but at least if we're all aiming for the same direction, the chances of us...
Couldn't we go to Barrowwayne? Back to Barrowwayne? How far is Barrowwayne?
Yeah, we could go back to Barrowwayne.
Shadow Walk does not seem like it's a very fast way of traveling. So
It does.
Barrowwayne
I thought it was.
No, it is a very. That's what I meant. It seems like a very fast way of traveling. That's what I meant. I don't know what came out.
Someone's spoiled with their whatever they have. No,
Well, Hestia mentioned a very expedient way of traveling through the Shadow Realm, so that's always an
Shadow
option.
Realm.
The Shadow Realm, yes. So let's use Hestia's owl to find where possible locations for Maleth are. I say that we can meet up somewhere outside the city. Maybe use a grate like we did before, but you said those would also be locked down, so I'm not quite sure. We can't use the grates or the gates. I guess we should meet up somewhere in the city and then shadow walk out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that would work well, I think. Also, if there was maybe some kind of high point, like a bell tower that we could get to, I don't know. We might be able to, like, feather fall to, like, the outside the city or maybe to the city wall, then just jump from there or something like that.
We could. You sound like you have done a lot of exits.
Just used to thinking out the options in operations is all. Yeah.
So, let's, so we've got options. Let's say that, what should be the first option? Go to a tavern and shadow walk out. Second option might be go to a tower and float out with, spells. Make some decisions.
Yeah, it's accurate. Is there a high point that looks like we could take like a bell tower from?
There are several watchtowers, a couple bell towers at various points in the city.
Hestia wants to say something.
I think it's better if we stay inside the city, so that way we don't alert anyone of where we are. It'll take more time to search the city, and to just sort of stop people from leaving a gate.
That is true.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point as well.
So I say, first
The
option.
Shadow Walk is probably the best option. But anyways, go ahead.
No, I was just
Do that
saying-
from anywhere. Well,
Yeah.
in theory.
Right.
So let's pick the tavern on the southern side of the city in case we need to leave out of the south side without Shadow Walk. We don't know if Hestia is going to make it. Not trying to be grim. But if she cannot make it, for whatever reason, we are close to an exit and we can, I guess, fight our way out. We'll need a Nomad for that, probably. Or we can use some high point that's near this tavern as a way of jumping out as well. So I say the first option, we meet up at the tavern, we wait 12 hours. If no one shows up, then you leave. The tentative plan is to use Shadow Walk to get out. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we should plan on that for now. And as a backup, is the tall structure near the tavern or south part of the town at all? Or...
Yeah, no, there's one that's near the south wall. It's not super
Okay.
close, but it's probably close enough that with Featherfall you could make it to the wall or past the wall. If
Okay,
you
yeah,
had a
barring
good
the-
enough leap.
Yeah, barring something bad happens to Hestia or she isn't able to Shadow Walk, yeah, that should be the plan B. We can use that, or I guess plan C. We can try another one of the greats, possibly. But yeah, I guess
So
I guess we have that worst case scenario.
We have a plan. Now, what did we get from Hestia's owl about where Malith is?
We can get to that after we get you guys into the capital so that we can kind of pace it up. Unless you just want to get that information and then
No,
jump straight into
no.
the intro to the capital.
That's fine. I don't need it. I don't
Okay.
need it. They
Yeah,
need
I
it.
just figured that's more for the people executing the heist.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah,
Oh.
so for the first little bit, Hestia and her owl will do a little bit of scouting while Jasper and Prince make their way to the palace.
Yeah.
All right. Well, me and Jasper are going to walk slowly. Or are you going to get on your horse again, Jasper?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can.
How
walk.
regal do you want to go in?
I'm not sure why that's a question. Let's
Well,
just.
I'm not. Okay. So let's walk up towards. Let's go answer the summons.
1 second. You're good. Okay. All right. Jasper and Prince, you make your way slowly because of Jasper's limp towards the palace. As you approach, you notice that the city becomes a little bit more sparse. You'll find more undead to humans, or to mortals, I would say, closer to the palace than you do outside of that district of the city. The greater increase in the number of, or the greater amount of guards is also notable. Most guards appear to be armored skeletons that are, just keeping an eye on the city and not interacting, though you do see the occasional guard that seems to be a little bit more animated and is on the move. As you reach the base of the palace, you notice that it is a very ornate building, as is to be expected, and there are no small number of guards. As you approach, they look at you, and one that's near the front looks down at something in his hand and looks back up and says, "You're answering the king's summons." You can hear his voice is a little bit gravelly, similar to if someone is sick and kind of getting over that sort of sound.
Okay.
"You answer the king's summon?"
Yes.
Yes.
"Only two of you."
Yeah,
Yes.
there was.
For what we said.
"Very well.
There was some things we need to talk to your master about. There's reasons why there's only two of us.
He holds out his hand. Weapons?
I mean, the only weapons I have is daggers of, that I'm not very proficient in anyways. I can't do much harm to a vampire with daggers, can I?
Weapons.
Alright. I take out the two daggers that I have from Salazar, and I hand them to the guard.
Okay, yeah. You.
Do you have any?
He takes the
weapons,
daggers,
Jasper?
and then he looks at you, Jasper. And real quick, Jasper, where do you keep your spell book?
I guess in my handy haversack is what I thought.
Yep, yeah, that's fine. Okay.
But I guess Jasper would
And I forget really quick. What happens if somebody other than you reaches into your handy haversack? Are they able to reach the dimensional space there, or is it something that you're able to shut off?
I actually am not aware of any ability to shut it off.
Okay. Let me double check that really quick. Okay. Yeah. So it's not something that's easy to rifle through and find anything if you don't already know what you need. Being a handy haversack. For you, it's very simple to find what you need because you just get what you intend. But, okay.
I guess Jasper would have a dagger, on his person, so he'll pull that out.
Then another guard steps forward and pats you both down rather forcefully. I don't think either of you has anything hidden that would be picked up by, or non-hidden that would be picked up by the guard, correct?
No.
Let me see. I guess not.
Okay, so nothing is found in the pat down. After that, someone else steps forward and notably casts Detect Magic on both of you. And after probably about 20 or 30 seconds of examining you both, one after the other, he turns to the other and... Give me just a moment. I'm double checking in my mind the equipment that you guys have. I don't think you have anything that's overtly threatening, equipment-wise, magic item-wise. Is there anything that either of you can think of? I'm checking your inventories on here.
No. I mean...
Okay, yeah.
No.
Okay, double checking. Yeah, so you've got magical items, but nothing that the mage takes note of and raises any flags with.
Yeah.
They're clean, says the mage. And with that, two guards step forward on either side of each of you and say, "Move." And they begin escorting you into the palace.
Okay. As we're going in, per Nomad's advice, I'm going to be looking for potential exits if things go awry.
Okay. The palace itself appears to be something built to be highly defensible. It is lots of winding halls that you find yourself through. It's enough that you could find your way back. It's not that confusing, or at least you're able to keep track of your orientation and location. But it is certainly something that is meant to be defensible. There's many choke points and hold points in the event of a siege. or in the event of an assault. As you're making your way through, there are copious... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, you're giving a description, but canonically prior to the description, there's something I wanted to do.
Yes, go ahead.
Walking past the arts. I wanted to pull out of my sack a cap that's very odd in appearance. Two of them, actually. I wanted to...
Would you have done that before or after you got to the palace?
I mean, I guess I would have done it before. I just kind of forgot about it.
What are you pulling out? I can't. Your
Okay.
voice changed. It sounds like
yeah,
Yeah, it's really hard to hear.
Oh, hold on. I'll be right back.
yeah.
I'll be right
it sounds like you're in a bathroom or something, or a hallway or something.
Probably was.
Okay, how am I now?
Better.
A little better. It still sounds like you're a bit echoey,
Okay.
like you're in a large space, but
Jake,
or
call
hollow
high or low if you had thought to do this before, because you
High.
didn't mention it. Kay, I'm gonna give you a 75% chance. We're good. Kay, you remembered to do this before you got to the palace.
Okay.
Always go
sorry.
high, baby.
what did he pull out? I
Right.
still don't know what he pulled out.
Okay, so on the way to the palace, I would have pulled out a metal-looking cap.
Cap?
Echoey again.
Cap?
Cap.
A cat or a cap? Like
CAP hat.
okay, cap.
CAP.
A hat, a
Okay.
cap, something that you put on your head.
Okay, a metal cap. Can I just? I mean, what does it look like? Any particular thing to me? Like, is it just a hat?
This is to prevent anybody from tapping into your mind, messing with your thought.
You're giving it to me?
I'm letting you wear it.
Why do I need to wear it? Are you scared that someone's going to be getting into my mind?
Yes, aren't you a little concerned about somebody potentially screwing with your head, taking away your...
I mean, maybe. There was that one time we were at the Worm, but those were very dire circumstances. I don't imagine somebody... I don't see a reason for someone to... well, maybe. But what, do you have? Do you need it? Why me? Do you have two of them?
Yeah, as Jasper's currently holding two of them.
Okay.
Which one do you want me to try on? That Jasper just like puts one on his head, he puts the other on his head. Is it a safety? Are you worried that it's tainted, poisoned?
It just seemed like an odd thing to do, but I can see the reasoning behind it. We have had our minds manipulated before. But I do have pretty good protection against that sort of natural protection. So, but I will take... Can I wear two headbands at the same hat? Does this hat go on top of the headband, or how does this work?
It goes underneath, and it is non-magical. You're able to tell that fairly easily.
It's non-magical. Then how is it...
Non-magical.
How does it... Is it a tinfoil hat? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes and no. Go ahead and make
You're
an
a lead
appraise
baby.
check.
An appraise check. Appraise. Okay, I have very low natural appraisal, and I don't feel like dancing to do it, so here we go. Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, as you look at this, it appears to be just a regular sort of cap. Nicely made, but not anything notable about it, other than that the inside is lined with a thin sheet of lead all around.
Okay, do I have the knowledge to know that lead can stop people from getting into my mind?
It will be protection against divination effects. You would know that. I'm not going to have you roll a knowledge check for that. You would. I'm just going to say you would have been able to. You would know enough for that. I'm not going to make you roll. I think your bonus is high enough on its own. You could roll a 2. So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So it'll protect from divination effects, mind reading. It will not protect you against anything like domination
And I know
or
that.
charm.
And I know this, right?
Yes, you know this. That's me telling you that Prince knows that, not me telling you out of game.
Okay, alright.
And while Prince is outfitting that, Jasper will kind of like turn his back to Prince, and he's finagling with his cane in some way. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I will laugh and say, do you know a diviner? Like, are you particularly scared of divination right now, Jasper?
and then Jasper turns around after finagling, and he says, "Oh, sorry. What did you say?"
I asked if you were particularly worried about a diviner, and if you are, shouldn't you have brought that up before coming here? Is that how they've been tracking us this whole time?
Am I worried about diviners? Absolutely. Is that how they tracked us the whole time? No, I think that's Abe.
Abe?
Abe. Here.
The time wizard that you guys knew beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, well, I still suspect, if you're afraid of a diviner, that could have been one of the ways we've been tracked this whole time, and that would have been useful information for the rest of the group to have known previously. Do you not agree?
No, you give too much information. Sometimes people worry themselves into inaction.
I think you're being a bit skittish, but okay. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat. You're afraid that people are going to act strangely to knowing that there's a diviner that you know that is working for Pietro, which would have been useful information, but I'm going to act like this is normal because we have a job to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you're really in the right place to criticize the man who walked through the wall of rain that we were sore afraid of before we realized it was just rain. So
Technically, it was not just rain. It was magical rain that is very unusual, and it's still unusual, and I'm still very curious as to why it was there in the first place. But let's put that aside, and let's go talk to Pietro. I'm going to look around as we're walking in and also talking for, this is a palace, so are there any old mirrors that have or I don't know. I mean, palaces typically have shiny mirror objects in them. Is there
Everything
anything
within the palace is pristine? In fact, you notice many suits of armor lining the walls. You know, weapons at the ready. You know, as suits of armor are. And yeah, so you notice that all throughout. But go ahead and give me a perception check really quick, and then I will go on to any further question that you had.
Okay. Perception.
And keep in mind, if you try to use or perform in place of any skill in here, that may draw attention. I don't know if that will have any ill effect. That will depend. But just so that you know, that any of your things that use your perform, your character's actually doing something different. But with a 30 perception, as you're watching, there's some of the suits of armor that you notice in some of the gaps. You see what almost looks like bone on the inside of the suit of armor.
Okay, so we are walking into a very deep trap, it looks like.
what do you mean? We're about to have an audience with the king of this land.
It seems as though there are undead in the suits of armor that we're walking past. There
Hold
are
on.
birds.
Prince, you look a little unsightly. Do you have something to cover the atrocious cap on your head? I mean, obviously you won't remove it for religious reasons, right? But do you have a little cover that is maybe more fit to meet royalty?
A cover? I have a hood.
That'll work just fine.
Okay. I don't... Okay. Well, now with our hoods, I think we should go see Pietro.
Aw, Ginger.
Taggart, I think
Yes.
we're ready to start making our
Okay.
way to here.
What was your question about a mirror, or were you just wanting to see if things were well kept?
Well, I know that vampires. We talked about earlier that
Ooh,
vampires
yeah.
have trouble with mirrors. So palaces
Give me a
typically
moment.
have mirrors.
Give
so
me a
I would
moment. I need to double check that. 'Cause
what they
that
did
would
with the
impact
mirrors.
what's in the.
I was trying to see a potential escape, but there's covered mirrors or something like that. I'd like to uncover them.
Okay. Sorry, one moment.
He's probably had to do some remodeling, is my guess.
Yeah, there's no mirrors around.
Okay. Oh, if we had a wizard, there's... Well, I'm not going to say that. There are spells to turn metal objects into mirrors.
Really?
Yes,
What was it
mirror shine. It's a level 2 spell. It'll turn any
Mirror
metal
image.
object... No, it's not mirror image. It's like...
Yeah, I'm joking.
Mirror image. It makes the image of a mirror in front of you.
That's cool, though. I didn't know that existed.
There's like a level 2 spell that wizards can cast, and it will turn any metal object, it'll polish it into a mirror shine and make it into a mirror. Which would be very useful for fighting vampires, because you could turn armor and shields and anything metal around into a mirror, and then they have to make like a DC 24 just to be around it. Something like that. Anyways, let's go meet Pietro.
Okay. So as you're walking through the palace, as you're being escorted through, I should say, you are, you're seeing things appear to be very well kept. There's not a lot of dust or grime or dirt anywhere. You do notice a number of undead in the halls, but they appear to be wearing, some of them even livery. And, other
They're wearing what?
livery.
I have no idea out of character what that is.
Oh, that's pretty much like royal servant's garb. In
Okay.
essence, it's like.
Okay,
So,
I understand.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. If I try to describe it more without just pulling up a definition, I'll probably sound silly.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, so you notice that, and other than the fact that there is a large portion of undead in the palace, what you're seeing doesn't seem too out of place for a normal palace, honestly. And eventually you reach a place with two large doors, heavy wood with metal bracing on them. And as you approach them, the doors are opened up.
Like without anybody there?
They're opened up by two guards that are waiting.
Okay.
So you're able to enter in, and as you enter in the throne room, that's what you see before you. You see what appears to be the throne room. You immediately notice how pristine and clean everything is, even compared to the rest of the palace. The two skeleton knights guarding the door have bones polished to a shine, not reflective, but just polished. There is an armored wight standing to the side of the throne, recognizable for what she is by the unhelmeted face, with wispy hair and red eyes, and sickly white skin pulled tight. She glares at you with poison in her gaze, as if you were trespassers far from where you belong. Throughout the throne room, you notice an entourage of vampires and skeletons, most armored and wielding weapons, though you see one skeleton with sparks dancing idly between bony fingertips. On either side of the throne stands a figure in wicked-looking armor, dark as the night. The plate forms an almost bone-like structure around the bodies. But there is a weight to the figures a skeleton could never possess. As their gaze latches onto you, you are filled with a sense of dread. I need both of you to make a will save.
I will say, is this thing undead?
It is, yes.
Okay. I have a +4 sacred bonus. Is this mind affecting? Or sonic
It is
related?
mind affecting. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's not... Okay, so I have a +4 bonus, I think. Just a +4 bonus.
Jasper,
divine
you are
bonus.
shaken for the next probably 3 or 4 minutes.
So a +4 to that. So 22.
Okay. You can feel that sense of dread pressing in, but you are not shaken, Prince. It does not
Okay.
hit you as hard. One of the armored knights stands with a large two-handed axe, head resting on the ground. Head of the axe, I'll be clear. The other bears a sword and a shield, standing at ease, though not unaware. And the helmet of each resembles the maw of an exotic fanged beast. At the center of it all, with a glass of wine swishing nonchalantly in his hand, sits a vampire on the throne. Long raven hair sprouts from his head, forming many braids as it descends to the center of his bosom. The smile on his face is neither one of concern nor of laziness. He seems to be both without a care and yet taut, ready to spring into action should the moment require it. So, you come to see me at last, but without the rest of your company, the vampire says. A king summons you, and this is how you answer. How disappointing.
Well, it would have seemed foolish to come with everybody. This very much seems like a trap. So it seems as though it wouldn't have been the wisest thing to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. I also am not aware of your intentions beyond the information I could glean off your followers that we've met.
Ah, yes. Your encounters with Helbram.
Yeah.
I had heard about that. It seems that you were not totally honest with him when you spoke to him. Not
Well,
that I am surprised.
I was mostly honest, actually.
Do not be coy with me.
I am not. I've met another one of your followers, Aranel. Are you familiar with her? I'm guessing you are. She mentioned you by name
Make a
as soon as
perception
I.
check really quick.
Okay. Oh, I'm having trouble finding it for some reason. There it is.
You hear a slight noise coming from one of the sides of the room, and your eyes quickly dart, and you notice Aranel standing right there, looking
Oh.
at you, intrigued, but also less at ease than the last time that you saw her.
Okay. Well, just finishing up what I was saying.
And Pietro glances at her when she makes the noise and looks back at you.
Yes, that is the. Is she noticeably a vampire?
Yes.
That is the vampire that, wow, that's wild.
That is horrible. Whatever that is.
Okay, I
Sorry,
don't know if
one
you can hear me,
second, one
but,
second.
she,
Oh,
he-
no,
he's
he
leaving.
can't.
oh. I will wait then.
You guys are dead as sin, by the way.
Yeah.
For dead as sin? Oh, like if this thing goes wrong, yes.
Well, no, I mean, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
That you can do, yeah.
Sorry, Erica got out of range, and so her headphone disconnected, and then her phone was just on speaker next to this
Okay.
almost. Okay, go ahead.
That is the vampire that saw me as soon as I woke up. She seemed very intrigued by me. She seems very intrigued now, although a bit apprehensive.
I must admit, I myself am intrigued by you. It has been a long time since I've seen your face.
My
Very
face.
long time indeed. And you notice a smile creeping up on his lips.
Do I get an intelligence check to figure out what he's talking about?
Go
Or
ahead, make an intelligence check.
Right. Oh wow. Did it go?
I
Oh,
am not
no, it
seeing it.
didn't.
No.
Oh, that's lame. I rolled a 19. Let's do it again. Did that one go?
Better.
There we go.
Not a 19, but with a 16 intelligence check, you don't know what he's talking about, but he's got a level of familiarity in the way that he's saying that, or the way that he's looking at you.
You must have known me in my previous life. I have only vague recollections of that before I ended up in the Outer Planes.
He chuckles. And you. And he turns to you, Jasper. And by the way, after a second, he turns to you, Jasper, and he motions with his hands, and you hear a small rumble behind you as the large, well-balanced doors are closed. And as his eyes rest on you, Jasper, his eyes narrow. Bizardi, he says as he lithely stands up, like a viper coiling, preparing to strike. Tell me,
Whoa.
why should I not have you killed right now? You certainly tried when in my circumstances.
I am going to look at Jasper suspiciously.
The guards around you tense slightly. No small number of them put hands on weapons.
I'm
ready
going
to
to
draw.
tense and step slightly to the right and look at Jasper.
Jasper looks
any
at
sense
Prince.
of mirth, by the way, is like there was a bit of mirth and enjoyment when he was talking to you, Prince. As he's addressing Jasper, all mirth is gone from his eyes, and you can see, I wouldn't say hatred, but what appears to be bubbling anger.
Jasper, you're full of surprises.
Jasper, well, go ahead.
I suppose Jasper's still shaken. Are there any mechanics of that I should be familiar with?
You're
Negative
taking a
to phase, I
-2 to anything that involves a d20.
Okay, good. Jasper looks up, says, it would be unwise to have a reunion given the circumstances of our previous encounter if I didn't have good reason for it, which I do. And Jasper digs into his one moment. Wait, sorry, 1 second. I'm getting something. Okay. So, Jasper, he digs into his pocket and he pulls out a ring. I'm in possession of something I believe you hold dear.
His eyes narrow. And what is that?
Do you recognize this? And Jasper holds a ring in between his fingers.
Are you holding it or are you holding it out?
Jasper is holding it like you would, like a coin. He's holding the bottom of the ring and presenting it.
You feel a tug
Like that.
from the coin. Very slight.
Or the coin? Or the
from the
ring?
You feel a tug from the ring.
I guess Jasper, he loosens his grip on the ring.
The ring floats away from you towards Pietro, and he holds out his hand. The ring lights on his hand, and he looks at it. And then his eyes narrow at you even further, and he motions to the rest of his guards, who relax their grip on their weapons and put themselves more at ease. Go on. The look of distaste is still very strong on Pietro's face.
We seek an audience with you, King Pietro. My companion and I. And I believe that you'll find preserving my life in the meantime to our mutual advantage. I have for now, yes, I understand that sentiment. My companion has been very eager to speak with you. He has many a question. If you would be so kind as to speak with him, and perhaps once you've both exchanged formalities for a bit, we can discuss business if that would be pleasing to you.
I suppose we can discuss. I have things that I would talk to you about as well, in lieu of the rest of your companions. And with that, Pietro sits back, more at ease, though with that bubbling anger still there in his eyes as he looks at you, Jasper. That is where we will end tonight.
Okay.
Though, by way of information, Hestia was able to tease out that one of the Capitol buildings near the palace appeared to have some guards near it.
Okay.
Oh, one thing that Jasper does want to say before we end, he turns to Prince after King Pietro's clearly relaxed himself and says, "Have you never heard a man's last name before?"
What is... I'm out of character. I'm not sure what that... I don't think I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, just
go ahead and elaborate, Jake.
So I guess when Prince said, Jasper, like you're full of surprises, but that was after Pietro looked at me and said Bezzotti, and anywho, I guess what Jasper's impression was that, you're full of surprises, you're not even really Jasper, you're this Bezzotti guy, and that's basically Jasper saying, that's my last name, Prince.
Well, out of character, I was more concerned, that the thing I was scared about is your history with this guy, and the only thing No, I knew that you had some issue with him, and I knew that this woman was a part of your backstory, but you did not tell us that, that's still out of character, that she was a diviner. You did not tell us, elaborate on the relationship between you and Pietro, so I had no idea how he was going to respond to you. The conversation you had with Nomad is the one where you told him, in particular, that I think you fought with him, and that, but my character doesn't really know.
Wait, actually, I thought that everyone heard that part about me fighting.
I think that was
that was part of everyone. Yeah, okay. that was everybody. Everybody was part of that.
But you seemed confident enough that when we came in here, that we weren't immediately going to get jumped and killed, which was what me and Nomad were concerned about. I still had no idea how you were going to pull off not dying. That's why I was like, well, if you were to walk in and die, I'm going to look surprised and watch you get murdered. That was my plan. So
I said I knew how to keep him from killing me. Not that he wouldn't want to kill me right on sight.
Yes, but that's
And
why.
there is a difference.
But that's
Yeah.
why I was like, I'm still a bit skeptical about. And I think Nomad is not just Nomad. I think Parley is skeptical of this whole thing, and out of character, in character,
Yeah.
skeptical. So when when all the guards stand up like they're about to kill us, I'm like, okay, let's get this over with. Let's watch a bloodbath. One-legged man's about to get shot down by a bunch of undead, which is going to happen. So
That's the headline.
yes. So that's what I was saying. That's why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I knew you guys knew each other. I'm surprised. Like, did you just walk in here to die? Like, that's what went in my head.
Breaking news: one-legged man decimated in the presence of the king.
Well, it seems that no matter how many times Jasper says he doesn't have a suicide wish, that will always
I
be
don't
the
know
assumption
his
of the
mind.
party.
I don't know your presence of mind. In my mind, I'm like, you want to get off one good fireball at this fucker before like everything goes to shit. And I'm ready to tumble towards the wall.
Well, we're not dead yet, so
Yeah, that's my mentality. My mentality is tumble towards wall, let the one-legged man get butchered.
Hear ye, hear ye. King Pietro does not look kindly upon cripples.
I just, I'm with Nomad on this. I thought you were crazy for wanting to come in here. I took Nomad's word for it, because he seems like he knows his shit. But
he's a tactician. He knows stuff.
After the conversation I had with Jasper, he had convinced me. So yes, Jasper I think was making sense.
I just took the word
I was
for
not
it.
out of sentimentality or anything like that.
Well,
That was out of,
and that's
pure
why you're
factual
not.
knowledge.
I can sense that you're not a very sentimental person, and I can sense that before your conversation, you were very skeptical of him going in there. So I just took your word for it, and we're here now. And if Jasper has a death wish, we're gonna find out in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh yes, he will. Don't worry.
Would be extremely upset if Jasper broke my trust. We'll break his leg.
His other leg.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much left of him. Maybe the leg will be separate from his body, and then you can just break it. Well, actually, I don't know. Because maybe Pietro is more of the type to want to, like, bite Jasper and convert him. That might be his go-to. I don't know.
I would never forget.
Ah, yes.
Should
Give your
never
mortal
underestimate
enemy a gift.
how quickly a spellcaster can, like, martyrdom kill themselves, though.
Yes, I know.
You should always
That's
be
why
aware. I was always going through Leon's head. Like, if I need to, I can just, like, rapid fireballs just at my feet.
Yes, I'm aware, Nomad, and I've been in games where such things have happened, but that's why I was skeptical of this, because A, I know they have a history, B, I know he's a spellcaster who can cast Fireball, C, he seems upset about vampire chick, so I'm guessing Pietro turned her into a vampire, and he's upset about that. So, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, he wants to suicide Sudoku this. He wants to go full Sudoku and just numbers everywhere. I'm dead.
That would upset me highly.
Was that Sudoku, or do you mean seppuku?
It's Sudoku.
Okay. Because you said that, and I was like, I don't think that's what you think it is. But then you said numbers, and I'm like, I'm really confused.
Yes, he's gonna Sudoku all over this throne room, and undead are weak to fire. He knows how to do fire. He's skilled in killing undead stuff. He's almost done it to Pietro in the past. He also has, a vendetta. I'm like, all the things are set for him to just blow us all to hell. So, yes.
You
Anyway.
forgot something that Jasper said, but
What did I forget?
maybe that's good. Maybe Prince would have forgot.
No, I just don't trust you, Jasper. You look like a very You have not told us so
So what would
much.
give it away? Is it my nose? Is it my mustache that doesn't grow as fast as my beard?
No, it's the having information that would be helpful continuously and just not saying it. And then when we come across the moments where all the where it's suddenly relevant, you're like, oh yes, there's this diviner who is apparently powerful enough to read our thoughts, and like, should you not have mentioned this before, Jasper? Should you not have mentioned this? This whole time I've been questioning how we're being tracked. There's no visible way of us being tracked. They have a freaking diviner! Anyways.
Why hasn't anybody assumed that they just have a diviner? Like,
well, not assumed, but if you have that information and we keep asking why, like
I guess it's happening to us, Jasper, then, like, wouldn't you, the arcane-inclined person, be like, huh, I think I know how this is happening over and over
Jesus.
again.
What is
Please
that?
help me. That is horrible.
It sounds like a robot is getting butchered and tortured in his house.
I mean,
That's what
think
we
about
need to do
this.
to Jasper for not letting us know about the diviner.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. I don't trust Jasper. Everything he says from now on is suspicious to me. Like, and I'm not saying that because I hate him or because he just looks suspicious. He has given me a credible reason to think that he is an unreliable narrator.
No. I'm waiting for Taga to come back for me to say this. It's like you guys, like, wait, you never told us that there was a diviner. It's like us going to like infiltrate the Mafia's base, and then once we're getting inside, being like, oh hey, you might want this body armor. They have guns. What? They have guns? What? No, I'm kidding.
Well, no. It's I don't know how sophisticated. I really like. Not to understand my character.
That's not super
sorry.
obvious, though. I didn't know that you can track people so efficiently with divination magic.
I mean, that would actually be difficult. That's probably not what happened.
Pathfinder, and
Go ahead and
my
roll
character
a knowledge
also
arcane check, Jasper.
my character also isn't versed in the arcane arts too,
That's
so
true,
he wouldn't particularly be aware of that
My
even in
character.
game.
Yes, my character wouldn't either. My character.
It's not as obvious as the Mafia having
34.
You, Jasper, at least, would know that without some familiarity or connection, there's not really a good way to track. Even scrying requires a more intimate knowledge or connection to someone, and there's other spells that are limited in range, but divination magic, if you don't have a connection, I mean, much like how teleport, if you're trying to go somewhere that you don't know well, is much less reliable and effective. Even so, divination magic, if there's not some sort of anchor or connection that you have to the target,
Okay,
is more difficult.
I know all this, and I also know that diviners are not that, especially diviners capable of doing this sort of stuff. I know out of character in 3.5, I don't know if it's the case in Pathfinder, but I know that a diviner can see all sorts of crazy shit if they're strong enough, but that's like a level 10 diviner. That is strong, and not everyone has a level 10 diviner just sitting around. And like, on top of it, them having a connection, like, Jasper, this is not like, oh, the Mafia has guns. This is like, there's a very specific thing that's in my backstory that this person can do, and I have a connection to them, and like, that's why, like, I don't,
like,
my
come
character
on,
doesn't.
guys, the Mafia has guns, and I'm dating the mob boss's daughter.
Yeah. Not only am I dating the mob boss's daughter, but the mob boss's daughter is a crazy powerful seer that can see where we are because they have to me. Like, and on top of it, my character is like almost not a newborn, but like, because I've spent a lot of time in the outer planes, but being well versed on like how this works is not. I mean, I have knowledge of my previous life, but it's scattered and like, so like, it is not that obvious. Right now, you just look like someone who is either A, trying to get me killed, B, being like super weird and like not forthcoming and like see I don't even know right now. Like that's why my character turned, looked at you, stepped away, and was like
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jake, but I am 100% with Kyle on this. The out-of-game knowledge, I didn't even know that you could do that with divination, and my in-game character wouldn't even really know that. So, unfortunately, I think Kyle is 100% in the right on this. I don't think it's as obvious as the Mafia has guns.
I'll tell you how familiar I am with divination. That was one of the suggestions I told Ayla to make for her character when she was trying to come up with a character, because I've always wanted to play a diviner, and diviners can do some crazy, like, metagame level stuff if they're, you know, good
Once
at
they're
it.
strong enough, yeah.
They can do some crazy stuff, and having knowledge, I'm telling you, like, me playing a knowledge bard and someone as a diviner, we can figure out everything. But
So, after all that, remember that one part where it was the 3 vampires and you were, like, oh, well, I don't know where they are. They just kind of poofed away, and
yes.
Emmeline was one of the vampires.
Oh, well, see, I wouldn't have known that either. I don't think you told us that Emmeline was there. We wouldn't have known. She didn't talk. She didn't talk.
I'm pretty sure he let us know that
He did.
that was Emmeline.
Okay.
He absolutely did.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't remember that.
I
Yeah.
did.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like Taggart was saying. The power is not absolute, and sometimes you kind of have to turn the switch on. So is it a dangerous, risky situation? Sure.
We've been tracked for like the last month. Jasper. We have been pushed over and over. Yes, I mean out of character month. It's only been a few days, but a month passed.
Out of character.
Like our camp, like before we entered the city.
Okay,
that was suspect.
So the original
That ambush.
No, that
Then
wasn't
we
an
got
ambush. That
ambushed.
was those people being like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute. We have enough people to just retake this land," and then they called the undead over to start.
Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I have thought we have been tracked since Malith was captured, and the reason why is because
Abe,
he's
he's right
like a
there.
time wizard. How is he like? I mean, I don't even.
He needs to poof away and then follow us.
I don't even know what Abe is. I don't know what Abe is. I don't know Abe. Y'all just told me that there's this time wizard who does time magician things, and I just ran with it. I was like, okay, there's some time stuff going on here. And you're like, no, it's this gnome time wizard that can re-roll. That's a Pathfinder thing, by the way. I've never heard of anything of that in 3.5. But
It's actually.
is it a 3.5?
No, well.
Kayla,
it's not what you
please
think it is.
help
The
me
point
out
is-
here.
We'll talk
I
about
haven't
that
looked it
later.
up
I
out
don't
of
want to
character.
spoil potential future things, so
Character, I'm not going to.
please don't.
What is the point
I
you're
like-
trying to make, Jasper or Kyle? I don't really. So what is going
I
on?
know what my plan
I
is.
don't know what's going on. He's freaking out for no good reason.
No,
I'm
no,
just...
no. My
Okay,
plan, he was like, oh, you haven't heard a last name? And I'm like, no, this is much more complicated than just me being surprised at a last name. It is a series of behavior that has led me to believe that Jasper should not be trusted, and I should not have come into this crazy palace with this fool. That's what
You're
I'm saying.
stuck with me now!
I know I am. You are getting thrown under the carriage. It's like, I'm not gonna do it on purpose, but if there ever comes a moment where I have to choose between life or Jasper, like, life it is.
Okay, but regardless, I'm not talking about that. But To your freaking quip, though, Jake, with the Mafia having guns. Okay, I'm sorry, but you are absolutely off your rocker to say that that is as obvious as the Mafia having guns. You are 100% incorrect about that. You are taking, like, out-of-game and in-game knowledge that your specific Arcane Caster character knows about and had a relationship to. I didn't even know that, and I've probably played more Pathfinder than you. I probably looked at way more Pathfinder stuff than you, and I didn't even know that divination could be used that efficiently to track people. So whether you think that it's obvious to your character or not. What?
I didn't say that. I never said that.
Say what?
That the divination could be used in that kind of way, or at least that easily or that readily. That was Prince saying it. I was not familiar.
Okay, but you were aware of that how we were getting tracked, and you just neglected to mention that the entire time.
No, actually, that's not true.
Okay. Didn't think that when we were getting ambushed, it's because of the divination wizard they have. Because if you didn't, then that's fine. But with your analogy of the Mafia having guns, makes it sound like you knew the entire time and just didn't tell us because you thought that it was so obvious. So did you or did you not think that it was super obvious that they had a divination wizard, or did you?
I think that they have multiple wizards.
Do they? That is
not okay, Jake.
Sure. I imagine they do.
My friend, is when we were getting ambushed, consistently, they were knowing about our movings, our whereabouts, constantly, ambushing us, running into us at really weird times. Were you like, oh, yeah, that's probably because they have a divination wizard. They probably keep finding us because of that. And did you neglect to mention that to us because you thought it was as obvious as the Mafia having guns? Or did you not know that it was because of divination magic and feel like, wow, this sucks, they keep finding us somehow? Was it A or was it B? Which one was it?
Neither, actually. This is what was going on.
What do you mean neither?
Okay, to give you perspective, Parley, there's like a third level for summoners, divination spell called Locate Creature. Like, level 4, fourth level spell is pretty high.
On that?
I don't think it has a range. Wait.
I thought it was just limited by, like, plane or something like that.
I know locate
like, you
object
can't look
is
at somebody
close.
through a plane.
Okay,
so go ahead, Jake. Please explain yourself then. Mr. Mafia have guns?
I know this from 3.5. I haven't really looked into divination
locate
for
object and
Pathfinder
locate
yet.
creature is like range of 400 feet plus 40 per level. So you actually have to be pretty close to use locate
I know
creature
that,
and locate object.
I know that there is some very specialized divination stuff in 3.5.
My battery's... Hold on, let me get my charger.
Like, discern location, hold on. Discern location, that's 8th level.
Yeah, there's some...
That's unlimited.
Yeah.
But if you specialize in divination, you can get that earlier. So that's what I'm saying. If there's... I know you can in 3.5. I don't know if you can in Pathfinder. I don't know of anything in particular, but if there is someone who specializes in divination, you can get spells a whole lot.
This is the last straw. Honestly, out of game, I am down to... Okay? Just say the frickin' word, and that guy is gone. Okay? He's not even gonna get a save versus my trip.
He actually has a penalty, because normally, at least... I can't remember what it is in Pathfinder, but I know in 3.5, there was like an extra +4 that you got for... saves against trip for every extra leg past 2, and he's only 1 leg, so...
Unless he, like, somehow morphs himself into, like, a spider, the man's going down.
Oh, you have little faith. Come on.
Like, okay, there's a divination spell that's really low, where you can, like, look at the dreams of people. Like, and it has unlimited range. Like, there are so many ways that a diviner can track a group if they know what they're looking for.
Okay, Jake, explain yourself then. If it is not situation A or B that I somehow mentioned, then please, go ahead, Mr. Mafia Have Guns.
Because there's a proper explanation for the 4 times that we've been encountered.
And go
Yeah.
ahead. What is that? What is that proper explanation?
Okay, so first let's list off the 4 times and see if we're in agreement, okay? So the 4 times are family that was under the worm with Abe, that vampire who we killed, who's a self-proclaimed second lieutenant or second in command, the Pietro, and then at the sewer grate or the aqueduct grate. So the very first time we were in the path of the worm, and if there's a bunch of destruction going on, and if there's souls to be raised, and if they had a legion, it's possible that they were looking for, primarily looking for, essentially, zombies to raise, more people to add to their legion that they already brought with them, but also knowing that we would be in this land, looking for us as well. They probably have general orders because, again, there is a history.
But here's the thing: we would notice someone in our party would notice something like that. Like that's all I'm saying is that like the only way we would not notice if like someone's spying on us is if they're like a rogue, which I don't think that they could follow us in perpetuate. I mean, we tried to cover our tracks several times. Like, we did efforts on that camp to make sure that someone wasn't following us. We hid from undead. Like, how are they tracking us?
Well, I mean, hide from undead only lasts so long, and
Yes, but
they
it
can
lasts.
just find us. And vampires can fly, and they can just look down. They can just be like, "Oh, they see some people,"
I guess that's true.
and we were really close to the capital. Like, there's a legitimate reason for why and also, like, especially the city. Like, if they just have, like, a barrier around the city where, like, all you have to do is just pass it, and then it sends out, like, a silent alarm, like, oh, like, somebody's going through this aqueduct. Quick, send one of our
We travel during the
servants to-"
daytime, though. A vampire's not going to be flying around.
That is true. We did travel during
We travel during the day, so a vampire's not going to get roasted in the midday sun, being like, looking down here. Oops, the sun's out. Bye.
And then we also would put out the fire at night.
That was when we were sleeping. That was when the vampire encounter.
Yes, I know, but like, are they just surveying all the land constantly, looking for us? And
Not
being
even
that athletic?
specifically us. I mean, it's like a wanted poster. Like you
Didn't we
have in
hide
mind
in a
who you're
cave?
looking for.
We hid in a not natural. Didn't we hide in a cave or something?
Cave is not a natural formation.
Jake, I still have zero clue what you're trying to get at here. You were trying to roast us for not knowing that divination magic was a thing with your out-of-game knowledge, and that it was different reasons that they ambushed us. What is your point here? I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, one, I was making an offhand comment, and two, I feel like part of my comments have been unintentionally mixed. Like part of what Prince said was mixed with what I actually said. So there's some things I'm being accused of saying that it was actually Prince assuming Kyle assuming I said. So I think that while there's definitely reason to be upset with me in an out-of-game sense, I think that some of it's being confused for things I didn't actually say or think or do.
Oh no, I'm not upset with you out of game. I'm just telling you my character doesn't trust.
Oh
your
no,
character.
you're not upset with me out of game. But
my character does not trust your character, and that's why I was surprised. I'm telling you, the reason I'm surprised is you have someone who, I know what divination is generally. That would be something you tell people. I think that would be something you tell people before you're walking into their lair. I think.
Well, then you got to ask yourself this question: why would Jasper not bring that up until?
I am asking myself that question,
and that's why he says he doesn't trust you.
I am asking myself this question. That is the whole point of the conversation.
More interesting than this
Oh my
conversation
gosh.
is something related. How come when Jasper brought up, potential divination stuff, and in his conversation with Nomad, how come Nomad didn't go, "Wait a minute, what?" And then
Did you bring up divination in your conversation with Nomad?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I don't know if I said the word
What did you say
divination, but I've talked about
Okay, he
peer
did
into
say
his mind, and that I could protect from that.
He did say that she could peer into our minds, but
There
you
we
should
go.
but you should know that there are many ways of doing telepathy. I had
Apparently, I
a
need to use the
There's
buzzword
a
divination.
million different ways that you can look into people's minds. This is Pathfinder, and especially this is a war priest that you're talking to, not a freaking arcanist. Okay, this is two schools of magic, two different ways of thinking. I am a martial and very divine inclined kind of guy, and I'm not used to all of the tools that are afforded to arcane casters. And if you'll remember, even out of game, I played Leon, who was literally so focused up to a point that
Evocation.
thought anything other than evocation. Do you think I know about any other spells than that? And what I was saying earlier, Jake, so it was option B then. So it was not always divination magic. If it was from other things, okay, what I'm saying, Jake, is that if it was divination magic the whole time, about that. And to tell us about it because it was as obvious as the mafia having guns. That was when I was going to with you. Why you said that? Because
real quick, I just need to make
no,
sure.
No, not real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Because what I was saying is that doesn't make sense to say. But since it wasn't because of divination magic, that's fine. I have no problem. You're right. Yeah, if it wasn't all from divination magic, then that's okay. But my problem comes from if it was divination the whole time, and you were neglecting to tell us about that because you're some freaking smooth-brained, lobotomized ape, then yes, that is when I would have an issue. You didn't want to tell us about that because you thought that it was so obvious. But that wasn't the case. So, Jake, we're good. We're good, my guy.
Cool.
No, I'm just, when I'm probably going to investigate this next session. I'm going to ask how we were tracked, and if it turns out that this bitch has been using you as a conduit to find us this whole time, I'm very upset. Maybe it's not the case. Maybe they just have some vampire who's just scouting around in the middle of the night who can search the landscape and track us like this. I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see, Jasper. We're gonna see.
In hindsight, it doesn't help that I misheard option B. I said neither, so I can understand your frustration.
Your character keeps withholding stuff from my character, and out of character, I know other things you're withholding from my character. So all of this is just piling up, Jasper.
Dude, Prince has so much beef with Jasper, he's gonna write him out of existence.
It's you're basically I'm walking into death traps, and Jasper knows things, and I'm just saying, Jasper, the hammer is gonna fall at some point. I don't have a sword to kill you, but about you coming into this place, and you could have said it.
Pietro doesn't kill you, I will.
I'm not gonna kill him. Just
already get him killed.
If someone wants to turn Jasper into a vampire for his immortal army, join the immortal crew, bro. Let's go.
It's situations like this where I begin to appreciate Tiffany's vote of confidence in me.
Well,
Nomad gave it a vote of confidence as well. I was the turning tide of confidence for you.
Yes, you were. I just Sorry, I guess I forgot about that after a recent conversation, between me, Jake and Parley. So yes, that's true. I do have Nomad's vote of confidence, and it was.
That's the only reason I'm in this place with you, by the way, is because Nomad seems like an upstanding dude, and he vouched for you.
Yes, if you Nomad will be very, very saddened if Jasper is to betray that kind of trust and faith that he had in him. Because up to this point, Nomad's a fan of Jasper.
Yeah. I mean, samesies. Jasper's a fan of Jasper. No, Jasper's a fan of Nomad.
I'm sure he is. He is a fan of himself.
He seems very tight-lipped. Jasper seems very tight-lipped. Jasper also seems very suspicious, and he also seems to have a what is it called that the people are always saying that the government what is it, like a plot? You have an agenda. You seem like you have an agenda. Yes, I like conspiracy theories are going on in Prince's heads right now. But that's all.
I have that kind of power over you.
You just held up a ring that you're going to do business with him about that you've mentioned to no one. You have mentioned this chick a little bit, but I'm walking into this situation with insufficient knowledge, and I'm a bard trying to figure out the best way of trying to talk to this guy.
You didn't clarify something. You've said this chick 2 or 3 times. Who is this
Emmeline
chick?
Tempest.
Okay.
All I know is that she's a vampire that you were once in love with that's in the service of Pietro.
That's not... Yeah, you did forget what Jasper said.
What did Jasper say?
Does anybody remember what Jasper said?
When?
Regarding Emmeline Tempest?
Babe.
Does anybody remember what Jasper said?
Ooh,
He is saying they're married.
he mentioned?
Yeah, you're in love with her. That's what I
I
said.
remembered that, yeah. That unfortunateness that Pietro and Emmeline are connected, yeah.
No, I think there's a confusion. That's not... I don't know, roll a intelligence check, somebody.
Confusion? What do you mean
Okay,
confusion?
not me.
Well, I said that you were in love with her. I mean...
Roll an intelligence check.
Okay.
Great, watch this. You guys ready for this? That actually
I
wasn't
rolled
that
a
bad.
13.
A 13. Jasper said something along the lines of, Pietro almost killed his wife, and Emmeline Tempest finished the job.
He killed Pietro? Is that what you said?
What? No.
Emmeline Tempest... Okay, you said you almost killed
No, yeah,
Pietro.
Pietro
and Emmeline Tempest...
Pietro almost killed my wife. Emmeline Tempest finished the job. Or Emmeline Tempest succeeded where Pietro failed.
Oh, so she's not your wife. She just killed your wife.
That's what Jasper said.
Oh, okay.
There have been a few things.
Fair.
There have been a few things there, like I come into a new session and you say things like, "Oh yeah, because Jasper said this or Jasper did this," and I'm like, "That's not what Jasper did or said." And now Nomad or Parley, depending on the context, is acting like what Prince is incorrectly saying is true, and then that reinforces everyone else's memory about what was said or done. And I'm like, wait, no, stop! Like, I want to let people haven't remember things and just kind of assume stuff.
You haven't actually explicitly said the story. You've given little hints here and there about Emmeline Tempest. I know that you're like, from my knowledge, from what I remember, I know that you're
talking about my whole backstory day one, man. I'm gonna give it a little here, a little there, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, well, the thing is, Jake, like, if we ever do misremember stuff, like, our in-game characters are not going to forget that, because that conversation was like an hour a day ago. But it's been 2 weeks since last game, and this is only 3 hours of our lives in those 2 weeks. Like, we're going to forget. So, like, I mean, please, if I ever get anything wrong with your backstory or confused, immediately correct me. I don't want to
I
be
agree.
incorrect about it.
Jasper doesn't want to correct you. Just
Well,
kidding.
No, but
Whatever they want.
That's been more of a concern, like these past 2 sessions, really. Before that, I think it's been fine. It's just I think we're accumulating a lot of knowledge. We have had more conversation-heavy sessions lately, so I think that's lended itself to information being like false, like misremembered or misconstrued, and then like making assumptions based off of previous assumptions or false memories. So, but yeah, that's the correction.
That correction does not change anything my character would have done or said.
Of course. Which is why it wasn't. I didn't feel the need to address anything.
But I also he still has, in light of that, I still have the same opinion. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't change anything. I think. Yeah, you have a lot of information about these people that my character has no information about. And you have sparsely shared what they are until we get up on the doorstep. And my whole fear of coming in here with you is that I did not understand your motivations. And I did not understand what was going on. And then you had a character, which I haven't heard, out of character, with Nomad, that, you know... So I'm just saying, like, you set the groundworks for distrust.
Oh, of course. No. I think that's cool.
Jesus. Okay. Well, that was all. That was all. You said that I was, like, weirded out by a last name, and I was just correcting you that I'm not weirded out by a last name. I'm weirded out by Jasper's behavior.
All right.
Oh, so this is a saga.
Yes, it is a saga. It's a saga of Jasper being weird. And potentially leading me into traps without my knowledge. He has some ring that apparently was his trump card that I was not aware of, that he just pulled out of his pocket.
Yeah.
This better be like the most awesome trump card in the world, because
it already works.
It got him to like sit down and talk to you.
Yeah.
We're gonna see
exactly what we wanted. We're gonna have a long conversation. I'm sure you have a gazillion questions for.
Oh, I do. My dad has like a gazillion questions.
Ask away. Use up every ounce of that man's time and personal will.
I am. I have a lot of questions for him. Okay, well, I am going to head out.
Thank you.
Real quick, before we do finish, are we all good out of game between each other?
Oh, I have no ill will. I was just saying that, like,
Good.
he thought
just making sure. It was getting heated for a while, so I just want to make sure that we're all good.
I'm not heated. I'm just.
I'm heated.
Okay.
I just feel like Jasper could have been more forthcoming about his plans, especially since we walked into a death trap.
Jasper has been forthcoming about anything.
No, he has not been forthcoming.
Part of his character.
Yes, but you have to understand, my character is chaotic good. I don't know, and I haven't spent much time down here, and I don't want to die. So,
yeah. Okay, well then, I'm gonna stop the stream, and we can pick it up next time with the rest of the heist and the encounter with Pietro.
Yay!
Dialogue with Pietro. I guess that'll remain to be seen.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see you talk your way out of death, Jasper. This is going to be interesting.
I think it'll. I'm 95% sure I'll talk my way out of death.
Out of character, in
game has his reasons to trust Jasper. I trust Jasper personally, to have good interests at heart, despite his clammy nature.
Okay, sweet. Then we will pick it up from there next time. Thank you to our viewers. Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yep.
They
Sorry
didn't
for the
enjoy it
rant for
because
40
of everything
minutes.
that happened. You didn't enjoy it.
I enjoyed this a lot. I just think there's some weird going on.